Are the Chicago Bears back? People are talking, kidding, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but they have made a move. Harrison Graham here on Chicago Bears Now. The Bears have traded for Commanders edge rusher Montez Sweat, bringing him from Washington to Chicago. Shout out to Ian Rappaport for the scoop, although I do want to give Brad Biggs credit too. About an hour before this, he tweeted out saying, hearing that the Bears are close to trading for an edge, stay tuned, and they did. Ian Rappaport, Bears, Commanders in agreement for a massive trade for star pass rusher Montez Sweat to land in Chicago in exchange for a second-round pick. It is a 2024 second-round pick, and look, that's probably proper value, right? Like, we're going to dive into the nuts and bolts, what I think of the full trade in extended detail, but there was chatter out there that they had gotten offers for a third, so to get them, you were probably going to have to give up a second, and that is what Ryan Poles has done. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, why is this team buying at 2-6? Well, a couple of reasons. One, this edge class at the top of the draft isn't great. And if the Bears are going to be picking in the top 5, I don't think they're going to take an edge there. And Montez Sweat has a 5-year track record of being very good. He's probably better than anybody you could get in the second round. And you have a bunch of cap space, so you can get an extension done. And the early chatter is that is the expectation. And worst case scenario, if not, they can use the franchise tag on him, which is just under $20.5 million. You've got over $100 million in projected cap space, so that would be the worst case scenario. What is your one-word reaction to the Montez Sweat trade? Let us know in the comments section below. One-word reaction.
Mine, Harrison?
We got Rolly in the house weighing in.
Calculated.
Calculated.
A calculated move by Ryan Poles. And they did this last year, and obviously it didn't work out with Chase Claypool, but I said this to Harrison before we went live. This is not anything close to the Claypool trade.
No.
This is a proven player in Sweat, and I would say a massive position of need and a much better player at their position than Chase Claypool was.
Yeah.
I thought at the time last year Claypool for a second was a little rich. I think this is a good deal for Chicago, and I know you guys don't care about my opinion, but I think this is a really good decision by Poles that might save his job.
First of all, that is not true. They absolutely care about Rolly's opinion. Lucas in the chat, or Lacora says great. Rudy says solid. The Grinch says average. Andrew says bro. Amazing from Hawk. Needed from Old Man Shaggy. Lucas Sprang says W. Trade Eberlus for $3 in. Joe Hollywood says Chase. They're not going to now trade for Chase Young as well, unless you're saying it's the Chase Claypool 2.0. I'll say this. If Montez Sweat comes to Chicago and flops, there's something in the water in Chicago. He's got 5
Burn the franchise.
years of consistent play. Rookie year, 7 sacks. Second year, 9 sacks. Third year was the only year he had missed some time with injuries, but still had 5 sacks in 10 games. 8 sacks last year. Already has 6.5 in 8 games this year, and take the sacks out of it. He is a top 5 to top 7 run defender at the edge position in this league. He sets the edge. This is already a run defense that is pretty good. You're talking about this run defense potentially being one of the best in the NFL with Montez Sweat now, and he's going to give you juice off the edge rushing the passer. And look, I don't know if Yannick Ngakoue is here long-term. Hell, he might get flipped today, but for the rest of this season, now he slides back into not having to be that top guy. You might see him start to actually make some plays for you as well. And if he shows you enough the rest of the season, maybe you bring him back on a second one-year deal next year. Those are your 2 edge rushers, and then you beef up the defensive tackle position, or you hope Javon Dexter takes that next step. A lot of hypotheticals here. Yes, we're going to talk about Jaylon Johnson as well, but first, I do want to talk about our sponsor on today's show. That is Prize Picks. Guys, daily fantasy sports is so much fun, and I've never had more of a blast, and it's never been easier than it has been for me with the Prize Picks app. If you're looking for a fun way to spend your game days, look no further than Prize Picks. So how does it work, you ask? Well, it's very simple. You pick 2 to 6 players and if they will go for more or less than their Prize Picks projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any given entry. 6-player entries, 25 times your money. 2-player entries, 3 times your money. I got a 3-player entry, which is 5 times your money. 10 to win 50 here. DJ Moore, I'm going to take the less. Him and Tyson Bagent haven't been getting those big plays going. He's been getting a decent amount of targets, although he didn't in the second half last week, which was a joke. But he did target Cole Kmet a lot last week. I'm going to go more on Cole Kmet. He had 79 yards this past Sunday. And then Alvin Kamara, I'm going to go more on the receiving yards. 20 to win 100. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100. At PrizePicks, you're not competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections. And there you go. That easy, that simple. That link is in the live chat of this video. Okay. Montez Sweat is a Chicago Bear. We appreciate all 929 people that are watching live. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Rolly and I are going to be live throughout the NFL trade deadline today. We've got 3.5 hours to go, so buckle up. We're going to be here. If you want more Bears coverage, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we got you guys covered. And yes, Super Chats will get on the show. We will party it up if you guys want to. Lucas Prang, does this trade mean Flus is safe for next season? I don't view it that way. I know there's speculation on Twitter. Well, is this a Flus-influenced decision? I think this is just a, hey, we can't get the freaking quarterback down. Let's go get a guy that's on the trade market, still young, and is still very productive, and we have a lot of cap space and can extend that player. I don't view this as a Flus-influenced decision at all. Now, you know, if the Bears rally and finish 7-10 or something like that, Flus might be safe, but I don't think trading for Montez Sweat is necessarily a signal for that. Unless I'm seeing this differently than you, Rolly. Like, I don't think this really has anything to do with Flus.
No, this is a Poles move to get talent for the future. And I hate to draw comparisons because I think it's a way better deal for Chicago, but it's similar to Claypool last year. The Bears weren't competing last season, but they at the deadline sent a second-round pick. Yeah, and they're trying to help the defense out because this team has been struggling, to say the least. But the defense has shown things. They just need to get pressure on the quarterback. Sweat will be able to do that, but also keep that elite run defense that the Bears have had this season. This is a home run trade, in my opinion, and I hope people don't get PTSD from Claypool last season because, to me, it's nothing like that.
Would you have, same trade on the table for Chase Young, would you have rather done Sweat or Young? There's pros and cons. Young's younger, but he has an injury history with that knee. He also doesn't stop the run as well.
The ceiling for Young is so much higher.
Especially as a pass rush.
Listen, overall, I think Sweat's probably a better player.
Well, and it's definitely safer. And if you're Ryan Poles, you can't afford to miss again here. Like, if this doesn't work out,
you're cooked.
You're cooked if you're Ryan Poles. Chicago ain't for everybody. The only way this trade won't bite Poles is if he fires Eberflus in the offseason. Sweat is a free agent, and he knows this staff sucks. Well, but you have the franchise tag. Sweat, he doesn't have control. So Sweat's going to be here next year. I think an extension gets done between now and the end of the season, to be quite frank. I wouldn't be shocked if it happened in the coming days. Like, you don't make a move like this unless you're eyeballing a contract extension. Brad Biggs mentioned that, so I think a deal gets done.
I mean, you have a lot, and I know you mentioned it, Harry, but you have so much cap space that there's no even worry about losing money in the future years. Just go out and
you just saw Rashawn Gary get his deal, which is like $24 a year. I think you do something probably similar, 4 for $100. Like, it's probably what you're looking at here. I would guess, right? I mean, I think he's better than Rashawn Gary, Montez Sweat. So we'll see what happens there. Lawrence Hamill says, it's awesome getting Sweat, but how good is the backing going to be without Jaylon Johnson? So this is a good point. Let's talk about Jaylon Johnson for a little bit, and then we'll get to more Super Chats, questions, etc. We'll dive more into this Montez Sweat trade in a little bit as well. But if you missed it, I broke this down earlier this morning. Jaylon Johnson requests a trade. And look, I went on Twitter and I said, I no longer trust Ryan Poles to build this roster. And I'm not saying after a Montez Sweat trade, I'm like, oh, yeah, he's the Messiah. He knows what he's doing. I will say this, though. if they can get this situation turned around, if they can keep Jaylon and get him extended, and we don't know what Jaylon's asking for, all of that stuff, and if you want to say he's not elite, fine. This year he has been elite. The numbers suggest that. When he gets targeted, it's going nowhere for opposing quarterbacks. He's been locked down. Yes, you'd like him to take the football away a little bit more, but cornerbacks like this, undisputed top 15 corners, we can debate if he's top 10, top 5, whatever. This year he's played like a top 5 corner, but not going to overreact to 1 year. But he's been consistent throughout his career, and I think he's taken another step this year. At minimum, he's top 15. You're a young football team that needs good players. Jaylon Johnson is that. You've got to find a way to keep him there. And now it makes even less sense, in my opinion, to trade Jaylon Johnson unless you're sitting there, well, we just trade a second. We got to get some picks back. Okay, but you're hoping those picks turn into players of the caliber of a Jaylon Johnson, right? He's in your lap. Just keep him. You still have your 2 first-round picks. If you want to get a second-round pick, you can trade back from one of those and get a second-round pick. I promise. That will be very much a possibility. So I hope they figure this out. There's several teams interested. We'll dive into that as the show goes. But to me, even if you're like, okay, he's asking for too much, and we're not going to pay that, just sit on it for now. You can revisit it as the season goes on in the offseason. Don't panic and just trade him because you feel like, well, we don't have a choice here. And by the way, you could also franchise tag Jaylon Johnson if you want to. Like, you've got options. Don't trade him just to trade him. That would be my message to Ryan Poles. You see the timer down there? We've got just over 3 hours until the NFL trade deadline. Poppy Chulo Sit says, let's get a second back for Johnson so we can draft Cedric Van Pran. Look, I love Van Pran. I think he goes second or third round, but if it's Jaylon Johnson or Van Pran, I'm keeping Jaylon Johnson. Now, you've got to figure out center. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not trading Jaylon Johnson. First of all, you don't even know Van Pran's there when you're on the clock. Like, that's way too loose of a hypothetical. Like, you just don't know how the draft is going to fall. You just don't. Alan Watson, tag Jaylon Johnson. I'm open to this idea. Listen, I think tagging Jaylon Johnson, if you don't like what he's requesting, is a perfectly fine way to go about this. Now, he won't be happy, but I'd rather tag him than just trade him for like a day 2 pick and be like, well, now we have to draft a corner again. Like, you keep Jaylon and Tyreek and Kyler keep developing. Terrell Smith is a young, promising player. Like, you don't have to worry about corner at all this offseason. Seriously, draft, free agency, you don't have to worry about it. You got 4 corners. You still have Jaylon Jones. Like, your CB room is set if you keep Jaylon Johnson. Don't create more holes on your roster because of a contract dispute. Figure it out. That's your job as general manager. Jimmy Productions, is Sweat or Chase Young better? I think Sweat is the overall better player right now. I think Chase Young's ceiling and overall pass rush ability is a little bit higher, but he basically missed 2 full seasons out of his 3 years and change he's played so far, and he's not nearly the run stopper. Yeah, he's 3 years younger, so there's pros and cons, but I think this is a safer move. It's a calculated one. The floor of Montez Sweat is an elite run stopper and a good pass rusher. This year he's shown he can be an elite pass rusher, so
well, how about this,
I like
Harrison?
the move.
Ian Rappaport just tweeted out 1 minute ago, sources, the Commanders may not be done. They are now taking calls on Chase Young. Could they trade both Sweat and Young?
I mean, there's no way the Bears would double dip with the Commanders.
I just find it fascinating that I assumed that it was one or the other for Sweat and Chase.
To me, that's a signal of we're firing Ron Rivera. Jack Del Rio's gone. We're resetting this offseason for Washington. But yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, if they could get a 2 for Young, they'd probably do it. Stink Pickle, if Jaylon Johnson's trade for less than a second, fire Poles now. Yeah, look, like, even at a second, I wouldn't love it. I mean, it's decent return, but I just, like, again, like, he's your second best player. I mean, if you want to say Montez Sweat is now above Jaylon Johnson in terms of overall better player, fine. But before the Sweat trade, to me, your best players, DJ Moore 1, Jaylon Johnson 2. I had someone tweet at me, Darnell Wright's better. He's not already better. He could ascend to that. I like Darnell Wright a lot. He's probably already a top 5 player on this team, but at this exact moment in time, Jaylon Johnson's a better player than Darnell Wright. And Jaylon Johnson's 24. He's young as hell, man. I made this point, too, earlier, Rolly, when I broke down the Jaylon Johnson trade request at home on video. You drafted Velus Jones in the 3rd round, who was 25 years old. You took an old-as-hell prospect and overdrafted him, and you won't pay and keep Jaylon Johnson, who's 24? Like, that is just insane to me. You can't do that, man. You can't do that if you're Ryan Poles. All right, who else we got here? Jimmy Productions, why not try for Chase Young instead of Sweat? And there could be a million reasons. Maybe Ryan Poles doesn't love the medical situation. Maybe he doesn't have the full medical evaluation. Maybe he just likes Sweat better as a player. Again, one thing we know about Sweat, he's a full 3-down player. He can play the run well. He can rush the passer. He does it all. Young's not bad against the run, but he's hit and miss there. Like, he's more of just a pass rusher. So, and he's got an injury history. So that would be why. Braden Risser, I don't see the logic in trading Jaylon Johnson after the Sweat trade. Poles, pay Jaylon Johnson. We have cap. It's time to use it for good players. I agree. And by the way, I think this is an interesting note too. And I will give Ryan Poles credit for this. He's worked the cap really well. That is one thing he's done really good since he's taken over this job for Ryan Pace. If you're Ryan Poles, extend Jaylon Johnson and Montez Sweat immediately, because you could give them each a signing bonus for this season, which means the extension, the cap hits lower for future years. So you could take on some of the money for this year's cap, and then you're still maximizing how much cap space you'll have this offseason and beyond. So that's what I'm trying to do if I'm Ryan Poles. We'll see if he does it or not. He seems pretty strict on his price tags. But, I'm with you, man. I think you got to keep Jaylon Johnson. Now, we do have a Super Chat menu here. A lot of $5 Super Chats coming in. That's not on the menu, but I'll take a couple shots since people didn't know it yet. First time Super Chat, I'm doing 5 jumping jacks. $10. We're taking shots. I'll take a couple since we got several 5s. $50. We'll do a beer bong race solo. What do you think?
I mean,
trade deadline day?
See how you guys react to that.
What do y'all think? Beer bong race for 50 or just one beer bong? What do y'all think? 2 shots. Then $100, you can join the Bears Now Helmet Hall of Fame with a sticker. Look at all these folks on here. Bunch of legends here. They're saying race. Well, buckle up, Rolly. There's a 50. From Jaxo, the Jaylon Johnson situation reminds me of the Kyle Fuller situation. They have to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. He is the best player in college football. Rolly, I want you to hop on screen for this as well, because I did have this thought a little bit ago. Like, you bring in Montez Sweat. Like, if you keep Jaylon Johnson, if you add Marvin Harrison Jr., you could have, assuming MHJ hits, and by the way, I was telling you about that Dane Brugler podcast I was listening to. He said he's the closest thing. He hates the word generational because, like, when he was talking about Caleb Williams, he was like, we got to eliminate that word when evaluate. But he said if there's anyone close to that, it's MHJ. If you have, as blue chip players, DJ Moore, hopefully Darnell Wright, I think he can get there. Tevin Jenkins, at least in the short term when he's healthy, is very good. Marvin Harrison on offense. I'm not going to put Cole Kmet in blue chip, but good player. And then Montez Sweat and Jaylon Johnson on defense. And Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards aren't blue chip, but they're good players. Like, then you got something, right? Like, that's why you got to keep a player like Jaylon Johnson. Like, you need like 6, 8, 10 players of this caliber to really have a chance to contend. And then obviously you have to figure out the quarterback.
I mean, Drake May, DJ Moore, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be chills next year.
Your boy Dane Brugler hinted at Drake May leapfrogging Caleb Williams in the QB draft order.
Just know that all the Bears Now subscribers, as much as y'all called me crazy, just know when Drake May gets taken ahead of Caleb Williams in the NFL draft this year, just know Rolly called it back in September. Just remember, everyone, just remember.
He did say it. There was bias involved, but he did say it.
No bias.
All right, let's catch up on the remaining Super Chats. We'll knock out this race, and then you want to dive into the Sweat trade more after we talk a little GT. We got Braden Risser. I don't see the logic in trading Jaylon Johnson now after the Sweat trade. We already read this one. Yeah, I agree, Braden. I agree. Mick Tuoso, do you still think the Bears trade Johnson? If so, where? Do we have the graphic of the teams that have been reportedly interested in Jaylon Johnson? I don't know what they're going to do. I hope they don't trade him, but these are the reported interested teams. Bills, Cowboys, Eagles, Steelers, 49ers. These have been the teams. Now, Dallas, it doesn't sound like they're going to meet the Bears' asking price. It sounds like they want multiple day 2 picks, so we'll see. I mean, if you got 2 seconds, that'd be a pretty good return, I would admit, but I doubt you're going to get 2 seconds. I think it would either be like a second or 2/3, and I'd rather just keep Jaylon at that point. But these have been the teams that are interested. I hope he doesn't get traded, but we'll find out in the next 3 hours. From Harry, I don't care if we got Sweat. If we get rid of Jaylon, fire the whole office. Yeah, keep Jaylon, man. Keep Jaylon. You keep Jaylon Johnson, you've got some good defensive players. You've got some good ones. Chicago ain't for everybody. They won't pay Jaylon. How can they trust any other talent? How can trust any other talent? I don't quite know what that means. But I will say this, and Jaquan Brisker he tweeted out the facepalm emoji. Like, you trade Jaylon Johnson a year after trading Roquan Smith, which players and Matt Eberflus admitted impacted the locker room last year. You're going to lose faith. Like, other young players up for deals soon are going to be like, why would I think I'm going to get a contract? So you got to figure that out if you're Ryan Poles. Chi-Town Real Estate, Chicagoland, and Northwest Indiana. Hey, I love you all. Love you, brother. Appreciate it. J Bills Games says, Harrison, my man, we got an edge rusher. Sign another, draft another. Also, keep Jaylon Johnson. Got to pay your good players. Do good and build. Completely agree. It'll be curious to see what else they do at edge. If they sign another one in free agency next year, if they draft one on day 2. I do think this probably signals that they likely would not draft one in the first round. TJ Peck, I heard Jaylon Johnson's asking price for an extension is way out of line. That could be why he's looking to be traded. Greg Gabriel threw that out there. He said he heard from someone he's asking for way too much. I guess my question would be what is way too much? I don't know if we have the highest paid corners graphic, but if not, we'll try to get that on screen here pretty soon. We talk more about this, but okay, if he's asking to be the highest paid corner, then yeah, then I understand a little more. But I can't imagine he is. If way too much is $18 million and you want to pay him $15 million, it's like, dude, just pay the $18 million. To me, that's not enough of a difference. Now, if you're at $15 million and he wants $22 million, yeah, that's a $7 million difference. But if it's $3 million or less per year, to me, you got to figure out a compromise. You got to find a way if you're Chicago. Parker S says Poles has JJ on the block to show he's not worth a second. 17 to 19 million. He's doing this to sign Jaylon to a cheaper 3-year deal. He knows what he's doing. I mean, maybe. That'd be cool if that's true. I don't know if that's true. We're just guessing if that's the case. I don't know. You look at the highest paid corners here. To me, he has a right to ask for more than J.C. Jackson. He's better than J.C. Jackson. I think he's better than Carlton Davis. Tre'Davious White tore his ACL and has not been that good the last year and a half. I could understand if he wants Xavier Howard money. Now, if he wants to top Trayvon Diggs, I think Johnson's a better cover guy, but Diggs gets so many interceptions, you'd rather have that. I get it. If he wants 20, that might be a bit rich. But if you can get him at 18, man, just do it. Just get it done. Mick Tortuoso, you think Yannick was a flop? I mean, I think Yannick Ngakoue, what's played out is that if he's your top pass rusher, you're asking him to be more than what he is. A lot of the defenses he's played on have had really good defensive linemen around him, and that way he can take advantage of one-on-ones. Maybe with Montez Sweat in the fold now, he gets unlocked a little bit more. We'll see. I don't think it's a full flop yet, but hadn't been great. Braden, if I send $1,000, will you get blackout drunk? I mean, I can't black out because I do have Halloween plans with my son and wife tonight, but I'll get drunk. I might get drunk if you guys just send in 50s, these beer bongs. But Don't talk the talk, Braden. You got to be about it. The Pike says, if you can't pay Jaylon, who can you pay on this team? It's a great point. Like, go back to Roquan, too. You traded Roquan because you wanted to pay him $18 million per year. He wanted 20. They shipped him out. And then you gave Tremaine Edmonds $18 a year. I like Tremaine Edmonds, but he hasn't even been better than TJ Edwards this year. Like, Roquan is a far superior player than Tremaine Edmonds. So the point being is, like, you got to keep good players. Brian Sky, don't we still have to negotiate Sweat's contract after this year? Or are we just giving up a pick for the privilege of company for the rest of the year? Yeah, you got to get an extension done, but there's been chatter that that's going to be in the works. And look, you don't make this move for a 2-month rental when you're a 2-6 football team. This is a long-term play. Chicago ain't for everybody. How can we trust this regime to pay top talent? I mean, I'll say this too. Obviously, you're going to pay Montez Sweat, and you absolutely should. But, like, what message does that send to the locker room, Rolly, of, hey, we're going to trade an outsider, pay him immediately, but we won't pay a guy who's suffered through losing and has grinded and has been one of your best players for 4 years. Like, what kind of message is that sending? Like, if I'm a player in that locker room, do you just see that and you're like, so you just think we're a bunch of bums?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good visual.
Like,
certainly not a good visual.
I don't know, man. Jaylon Johnson's earned it, in my opinion. J-Bills games. Hello to my Drake May brother and arm, Rolly. Rolly, the floor is yours.
J-Bills? What's up, J-Bills?
Drake Mayhem.
Yes, sir.
Convertible Creed, now signed Jaylon, 14.5 for 3 years. I'm guessing the Bears want to get him at 15 or less, and Jaylon's like, no. So he apparently hopped on radio, and he threw out a couple of hypotheticals. He was like, for example, $23 million is an overpay. 13's an underpay. Well, what's in between? 18? To me, that's, you might think it's a slight overpay, but, like, if you're comfortable with him at 16, just pay him 18. Like, you have to overpay sometimes, man. You want to create extra money? Cut Cody Whitehair after this year. He stinks. Like, you could find $2 million. Mr. Big Fella, what do we get for Jaylon if we trade him? I'm guessing a day 2 pick. I don't think you're going to get a first. If you get a first, I would understand the appeal there, but I just don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. All right, you want to talk about game time and then react to this trade a little bit more? Appreciate all the super chats. We'll get to the investor, in just a second. Hit that like button. Every 300 likes, I'm taking a shot. We're at 229, so hit that like button. Let's go.
1,600 people watching, only 230 likes. That's unacceptable. Let's get to 800.
Every 300 likes, taking a shot.
Hit that like button right now. Come on, everyone. Come on. You excited that Montez Sweat's a Bear? You should be.
Like the video if you're pumped to have Montez Sweat. Let's go. Hit that like button. We're up to 358, so there's a shot. By the way, Rolly, just an update for you. Josh Uche has been available since last week, according to Albert Breer.
Saw that little tweet from Breer.
What are you thinking? Probably a third at this point?
Give me a second. He has more sacks than Sweat the last 2 years.
He ain't
what?
Sweat, bro.
I don't know, Jim.
Well, not the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, Sweat has 6.5 this year. Uche has 2.
Yeah, but Uche's at 13.5. I don't think Sweat's only at like.
Dude, Sweat had 8 last year.
Is that true?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
I don't know, Jim.
What I do know is that Game Time is going to hook you up with last-minute tickets in a stress-free way. Don't have to worry about when you get your tickets. With Game Time, you're going to get them right away and get to your game or concert or comedy show in a timely manner. Sometimes these ticketing apps, it can be frustrating, and with Game Time, it's easy. It's painless. You don't have to stress or worry about that. Their goal for you is to have a peace of mind with your purchase and to help you save as much money as possible when buying your tickets. Whether you're going to a Bears game, an awesome concert, or any other event, Game Time wants you to have the best experience possible. And by the way, looking for last-minute tickets, Game Time has the best deals for you. I went to a TCU game a couple of weeks ago. Big mistake because we stink this year. But I woke up the day of the game and I said, you know what? I feel like going out to Fort Worth. Found some tickets with Game Time last minute and got some good seats as well. What I like about Game Time is they'll show you exactly where your seats are based on pricing. Like, for example, you see the photos here. You can see where your tickets are. They got Thursday Night Football coming up in a week and a half against the Panthers. Get some tickets for a good price with Game Time. And promo code BearsChat gets you $20 off your first purchase for any event with Game Time. So download the app today. Search Game Time in your app store. Just be sure to plug in the promo code BearsChat. That's going to get you $20 off your first purchase. Game Time, the best ticketing app in the game. You can get those last-minute tickets for the lowest price, guaranteed, with our friends at Game Time. All right, couple more super chats, then we're going to dive into this trade a little bit more. Attainvestor, that's a 10. Well, that's a shot. I think he sent in 2 of them as well. Cheers. Zachary with the 2. What's a new deal look like for Sweat? Get well, Justin Fields. Yeah, hopefully Fields is back soon. I think for Sweat, you're probably looking at like 4 for $100. Something similar to what Rashawn Gary just got. That would be my guess. 25 a year, somewhere in that range. Now the franchise tag is at $20.5 million or so they could tag him, but I just don't think you can be playing that game. You just trade for this guy. You got to pay him. Tan Investor, here's one. Neither Fields nor Bagent are the problem. Spend the draft capital on the lines. Maybe. Cheers. I still think at some point you got to have elite quarterback play, and with Fields, we've seen flashes of it, but it hadn't been consistent, even though I do agree what's been around him at times a lot of the time has not been very good. Where's Dan Feeney been? Waste of a pick. This is actually a fair point. I know it's only a 6th-round pick, and a pick like that is probably more of a depth signing, but, like, you've been so bad at center. Why not give Dan Feeney a look? I don't understand that. Very, very weird situation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shout out to Brent. All right, let's break down this Montez Sweat trade a little bit more. We'll take a look at the latest on Jaylon Johnson as well. And then we'll get back to your super chats as we are less than 3 hours until the NFL trade deadline comes and goes. So let's get it here on Chicago Bears Now. The Chicago Bears have traded for Commanders edge rusher Montez Sweat just a mere hours before the NFL trade deadline comes and goes. We're going to break it down here on today's episode of Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. Credit Ian Rappaport, who broke the news as he said the Bears and Commanders are in agreement on a massive trade for star pass rusher Montez Sweat to land in Chicago in exchange for a 2nd-round pick. I do also want to shout out Brad Biggs, who about 30, 45 minutes before that tweeted out, Bears are closing in on trading for a defensive end, which obviously that ended up becoming Montez Sweat. Brad Spielberger hinted at this as well. So seems like things were in the works for a couple of days, and on deadline day, the Bears and Commanders come to an agreement. We're going to react to all this. I'm going to give my thoughts on what it means, what a contract extension could look like, and a whole lot more. Plus, we'll get you caught up on the latest on Jaylon Johnson as well. But first, what is your one-word reaction to the Montez Sweat trade? Give me one word. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you happy? Calculated was the word producer Rowley used. Let me know what your one-word reaction is. For me, I just think it's needed. I know you're 2-6, and you're like, why are you buying right now? Well, a couple of reasons. One, your pass rush is a joke. And sure, you may not make a playoff push this year, but Montez Sweat is 27 years old. This is clearly a move for a long-term play, and he's a guy that can get after the quarterback and can also seal the edge in the run game as well at a very, very high level. This draft class isn't loaded with top 5 type of talent at edge, so I think this is a signal of the Bears are going to look elsewhere early in the draft. Obviously, quarterback, receiver, offensive line have premium players at the top of this draft, and for a second-round pick, Montez Sweat's track record is better than anything that you probably are going to find in the second round. 32 tackles, 6.5 sacks this year. He's on pace to have his best sack total ever. And what's crazy about that is he's better as a run stopper. Like, he is an elite run stopper and a very good pass rusher. Big fan of what he does. You look at what he did last year, too, had 8 sacks a year ago. Remember, he absolutely embarrassed Braxton Jones on Thursday Night Football a year ago. And I like Braxton Jones, but you wonder how much that game was in Ryan Poles' mind when he made this move of, like, we need that type of player, someone who can take over a game at times. And he is absolutely someone who can do just that. So Montez Sweat comes to Washington, and when you just think about what the Bears currently have too, they just don't have those dudes on the defensive line. They brought in Yannick Ngakoue on a 1-year deal, but I think it's clear that when Ngakoue's your top guy, he's limited, right? I think this could actually help him out, at least for the rest of this season, to be a little bit more productive. Now, I don't know if Ngakoue's in their future plans or not, but I think having Sweat on the other side is going to help. DeMarcus Walker won't have to necessarily be as relied upon. I actually wonder if you give him a look at 3-tech, which is where he was more productive for Tennessee a year ago. But the point being is you need dudes on that defensive line, and Montez Sweat is a dude. So very good start. I don't think this defensive line is complete by any means, but you had to get someone in here, and getting a head start on that to bring him in here and not taking the risk of who's going to be available in free agency, what the draft looks like. I think it is a calculated move by Ryan Poles, and I do think it makes a lot of sense. Grade the trade for us here on Chicago Bears Now, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to give it an A-. It's a position of need. He's a proven player throughout his entire career. I think this is a player that is absolutely worth bringing in, even as a 2-6 football team. You're going to get into a contract extension. I will explore what that looks like in just a minute. But I think that this is a good move. And as we talk more about Jaylon Johnson in a minute, I tweeted out earlier after the Jaylon Johnson trade request that I've lost faith in Ryan Poles' ability to build this roster. I still would not like that at all if they trade Jaylon, but I do think that this is a step in a positive direction if you are Ryan Poles. Now, before we continue, hit that subscribe button here on the channel. We're trying to get to 79,000 subscribers as soon as possible. We crossed 78,000 subscribers during our watch party over the weekend. Now we're trying to get to the next milestone, 79, and then the big 80. I'm excited for that. So if you want daily Bears coverage, the latest news, rumors, if you're watching live, we'll see that number trickle up, hopefully. We got you covered on a daily basis, multiple videos per day. We're going to stay live here through the NFL trade deadline if you are watching live. So stick with us, subscribe, and check out more videos here on the channel. All right, so let's talk about what a Montez Sweat extension could look like. We just saw Rashawn Gary with the Packers get 4 for $96 with incentives, I think, to just over 100. I can't remember the exact details, but 24 per year. I think that's probably what you're looking at here. 4 for 100, something like that. He's a 3-down player, really good pass rusher, elite run stopper. Like, he does it all. He's 27 years old. You give him a 4-year extension, so 28, 29, 30, 31. Like, those are still, like, really good years. You're hoping 3 of the 4, he's still an elite player. And then, you know, by the end of that contract, he's probably slowed down. But if you can get 3+ really good years out of Montez Sweat, I think this deal is absolutely worth making. The fallback option is Courtney Cronin had the note that if they do have to use the franchise tag, it's projected to come in at about $20.4 million for defensive ends this offseason. That wouldn't be that bad of a scenario. Now, let me be clear. Just work out an extension, please. Like, you don't make this move without thinking long-term here, but you have that as a fallback option. So I think Montez Sweat gets extended. He's going to be here long-term. This obviously isn't a rental. You're a 2-6 team. It would take a minor miracle to rally and make the playoffs. This is for 2024 and beyond, and I actually do think it's a pretty damn good move. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Guys, Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports game that is out there. And the reason for that is because it's simple. It's easy. A lot of companies have daily fantasy, but it's always so complicated and it's just not fun. And with Prize Picks, it is fun because it is so easy. If you're not a fantasy sports guy because you think there's too much going on, With Prize Picks, it's about as simple as it can be because it works like this. You pick 2 to 6 players on any given entry in any sport, college football, NHL, NFL, NBA, whatever the case may be, and you just simply take more or less on their Prize Pick stat projections. That's it. And you parlay them together like this one here. Pick 3 entry I've got going. DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Alvin Kamara. I'm taking less on DJ Moore's receiving yards this week. Him and Tyson Bagent haven't been getting big plays together. Bagent's going to start again. Cole Kmet, I took the more because he targeted him 10 times for 10 catches and 79 yards last week. I like him hitting that number. And then Alvin Kamara has been a beast in the receiving game this year for New Orleans. So 10 to win 50 there. You can win up to 25 times your money if you do a 6-player entry. So get started with Prize Picks today. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Our code CLNS gets you a deposit match up to $100. Guys, Prize Picks is easy. It's fun. You're not playing other players. It's just you versus the projections. Get going today with Prize Picks. So we go from the excitement and the joy of trading for Montez Sweat to the, what are you doing, man, with Jaylon Johnson? Jaylon Johnson requested a trade late last night after contract negotiations reportedly stalled between the two sides. Apparently they're not close on a number, and so the Bears are allowing Johnson to seek a trade. Now, they might just be saying, hey, you go see what's out there. If you think what you're asking for is available from another team, then so be it. We'll trade you. Maybe Ryan Poles is being calculated here and saying, I don't think that's going to be available. Then you'll come back and sign what we want you to. But I still think you're playing a risky game if you're Ryan Poles. There's a lot of things to consider. One being is that Jaylon Johnson is one of your premier players. After DJ Moore, before this Montez Sweat trade, and look, maybe he's better than Sweat, maybe he's worse, different positions. I don't think that really matters. To me, though, DJ Moore's your best player, Jaylon Johnson's your second best player. You need to keep this guy around. You traded Roquan Smith last year. Matt Eberflus and players on this team admitted that impacted the locker room in a not-so-great way because you wanted to pay him $18 million a year. He wanted $20 million a year. You ship him out. He's awesome in Baltimore, just like he was here. And then you gave Tremaine Edmonds $18 million a year. And I like Tremaine Edmonds, but he's not Roquan Smith. There's no doubt about that. So you're going to trade a premier defensive player for a second year in a row. Jaquan Brisker's not happy about it on Twitter. Like, to me, you have got to figure this out if you're Ryan Poles. Even if you don't get an extension done right now, don't panic and just trade him. You've got the rest of the season, the offseason to figure this out. You could franchise tag Jaylon Johnson if you want to, too. Here are some of the reported interested teams if a trade does go down. Buffalo Bills, makes sense from their side. Tre'Davious White went down. They're a contender, trying to add a top-tier corner. Dallas Cowboys, lost Trayvon Diggs, same deal. Philadelphia Eagles, Howie Roseman, he's always aggressive. There's been chatter they want to revamp the secondary. They already got Kevin Byard. If they got Jaylon Johnson, too, to pair with Darius Slay, that would be pretty lethal. Pittsburgh Steelers, don't make another trade with the Steelers, man. Just don't do it. 49ers, they're looking to bolster their secondary. Also, just keep the guy. Look, if a team offers you a first, I would change my tune. That's something I almost certainly would do. But if it's not a first, even if it's a second, any team trading you a second is going to be a contender. It's not going to be a top 50 pick where you got Jaylon Johnson. And by the way, he's outplayed where you drafted him. He's played like a first-round corner, and you found him in the second round. Is the ego there because Ryan Pace drafted him? Because Ryan Poles took the podium when he took this job and said, hey, we're going to keep homegrown talent. That's how we're going to build this football team. We're going to develop and keep them. This team has developed Jaylon Johnson, partially under Matt Eberflus, but yeah, the prior regime did a good job too in that regard. You have a good player in your lap. He's 24 years old. He plays a premium position. And by the way, now that you do have Montez Sweat, you have good players at all three levels now. Montez Sweat on the defensive line. TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. They're not Roquan Smith, but it's a good duo at linebacker. And then Jaylon Johnson in the back end. You trade Jaylon Johnson, you got major questions at corner. I like Tyreek Stevenson. I like Kyler Gordon. Either of those guys ready to be a CB1 right now? I don't think so. You're going to have to draft a corner probably or sign a different one if you trade Jaylon. So to me, it's simple. Keep Jaylon Johnson. Figure out the money, whether it's now or later, and let's go, man. Then you can pour a lot of more resources into the offense. Offensive line, add more on the defensive line. To me, it's a no-brainer. You keep Jaylon Johnson, keep him happy, keep the locker room happy, and, oh, by the way, keep a pretty damn good player at only 24 years old. So what would you do with Jaylon Johnson? Type P for pay him or type T for trade him? I feel like I've been pretty clear. I'm paying the guy. We can debate all day long how much you should pay him. I'm comfortable going up to $18 million. If he's asking to reset the market, that's one thing. I can't imagine that's the case, but we'll see what happens. P for pay, T for trade. Jaylon Johnson, I hope you stay with the Bears. Hit that subscribe button if the Bears do trade Jaylon Johnson or make any other moves. We're going to have it covered here today on Chicago Bears Now. We are live all day long through the NFL trade deadline, so subscribe and join us for more Bears coverage. All right, Aaron Wolf, how much to smoke a joint? We can't smoke joints on the air, and that's not really my cup of tea, typically. Not really,
Wink, wink.
I don't really, I'm more of a let's chug these beers, which we still have to do type of guy.
Yes, we do.
Bo, I think Sweat would be a big help for the defense. Is this Magic Johnson?
This might be Magic. Also, not to flame Bo.
He's going to be a good player here.
Not to flame Bo, because he's fitted in that profile picture.
Yeah, nice
But
fit.
he goes, I think Sweat would be a big help for the defense. That's almost asking, like, should we go take Sweat? I think he would be a good help. Now we got to say,
He's
Sweat will be a big help for the defense.
Let's go. I hope he plays Sunday. I mean, it's Tuesday.
You got to imagine
Get
that.
him in here.
Listen, obviously defenses are complex, but you put him out there in obvious pass rushing situations, he'll make a difference. That Saints O-line ain't good.
Does this defense look complex to you?
That's a good point.
Get
It's
him
also
out there.
Tuesday, by the way. It's not like it's Wednesday. He's got 2 or 3.
Get him in the building by tomorrow.
He's got 2 to 3 days to figure it
Get
out.
a couple practices.
He's a good ball player. He'll figure it
Montez
out.
Sweat, without knowing the playbook, versus Khalid Kareem, who was getting real run last
Kareem
week.
kind of played good, though.
Is he him?
Listen, I'm not going to say
Kinda
he's
played
him,
good.
but he did kind of play well.
Yeah, he's better than Dom Rob.
Tom Rob, man.
Tough look. Nemo Ole, we need Fields or we lose. Well, he's not playing this week. Doesn't sound like so.
Maybe they pull Cardinals and say all of a sudden.
You beat the Saints. Montez Sweat has 2 sacks. You come home and beat the Panthers. You're 4-6. The season's back on.
Oh, by the way, ready for this? Jeff Howe,
Yeah.
The Athletic. You know Jeff, right?
Yeah. He had that Fields Falcons trade idea a couple weeks ago.
Said that the Patriots have checked in on the price of Chase Young.
Do you dump Uche for a third, trade Young for a second?
That's an interesting one.
That is interesting. All right, let's go back to Aaron Wolf. Do you think Montez Sweat is going to start this weekend? I don't know if he'll start, but I expect him to play. I mean,
if there's one position that could go out there and just
put
play
your hand
right
in the
away,
dirt and go.
Real talk though is if there's one position I feel like that you can just swap teams and play right away, it is edge rusher.
Yeah. I mean,
you don't got to know that much.
There might be like little signals and stunts that you got to figure out, but like the guy playing next to him could just tell him what that means.
Right, because if you're on the offense is very complicated to get caught up to speed. Secondary's tough.
Claypool had no clue what he was doing, and he even played after the trade.
And after a year, he still didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah. Brutal. Here's our Super Chat menu. First time Super Chat, we'll do 5 jumping jacks. $10, we're taking shots. $50, we'll do a beer bong race. $100 gets you into the Helmet Hall of Fame. You want to mention Venmo too? You guys want to do a duck race or a greyhound race? Y'all in? If y'all are, I am. $10. We've been doing 20. Let's do 10. Little trade deadline special. If you don't know what this is, $10 to enter at HGramNFL on Venmo. Winner gets half the pot. So if the pot's $100, you win 50. If it gets up to 200, you win $100. So if you guys want to enter at HGramNFL, we can do a raffle race 50-50. It's got to be Venmo though. At HGramNFL.
Links in the chat.
QR code's right here. If you guys are interested, I mean, we got almost 3 hours to go, and there we go. How about this? T. Higgins has garnered trade interest, but the Bengals aren't going to move him.
There's no way.
You wonder, though, had they not turned this around the last couple of weeks, if they would have entertained a trade.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're kind of cooking with gas right now.
Like, if they were 2-5 instead of 4-3, you think they'd trade him?
Yeah, maybe.
But Jordan Schultz, by the way, says the 4 teams eyeing Jaylon Johnson are the Niners, Eagles, Steelers, and Bills, which are 4 of the 5 we've mentioned. We had Dallas on there as well, but
doesn't seem like Dallas.
Josina Anderson had that report that they're not going to reach the price tag, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't want to trade Jaylon, man. I just don't. Still sending these to TV?
Yeah.
All right, we got the first one in here. Keenan's hopping in. Shout out to Keenan. $10 if you guys want to hop in. Is he still a Bear? Yes, Jaylon Johnson is still a Bear.
As we currently
sit, he is
with
still a Bear.
2.5 hours until the trade deadline.
I'm just going to read through some recent tweets of what's going on around the league here. I just mentioned that T. Higgins one. He's garnering interest, but sounds like the Bengals are going to keep him. Roley mentioned the Chase Young situation with New England. That would be very interesting.
Also, Zeke Elliott
drawing interest. That would be a late-round pick, obviously. Couple of small signings. Albert Breer was talking about price tag for Danielle Hunter. Of course, he put it in a damn article. Just tweet it out, Albert. So it's kind of where we're at.
I mean, if you look at some of the trades made before the before the deadline day, this one's probably the biggest trade so far.
Sweat is better than Leonard Williams. This is an overpay. I know the Giants took on. They basically buyed an extra. They moved up around in the draft by eating that contract, basically. But that's still worth it if you're New York. I think that was a good deal for the Giants. Leonard Williams is past his prime. He's not the same player he once was. But Seahawks add him to the mix. Obviously, the Eagles got Kevin Byard late last week, 5th and 6th, and Terrell Edmonds.
This happened late last night. Well, not late, but
Contavious Street, classic 6th and 7th round pick swap there between Philadelphia and Atlanta. And then, of course, the big one today, Montez Sweat for a 2024 second-round pick. 2.5 hours to go, so we'll see how this thing continues to play out. Want to knock out this race real quick?
Yeah, give me 1 second here.
George Hallis Ghost is available. I don't know what that means. Trade Johnson to the Bills for Taron Johnson in a 5th. No. Oh, man. Do you know which second-round pick? I hope not the Panthers. The Panthers' second that you have is in 2025. So it's your own second. Keep Johnson 33. Type 33 in the chat if you want to keep Jaylon Johnson. Type 33 in the chat. Yeah, I'll probably do that in a sec. Type 33 in the chat. I'll get some shout-outs while we get these beers of the bongs going. We've got Chicago Best, Zephyr, Lucas, D. Reborn. We got Clayton, David, Neo, Adam Spencer, Swang Season. We've got Garrett, Nicholas, Astral. What bong? We got the Merbonga here. It's a beer bong. You chug out of it. Michael Dixon, John Doe, Old Man Swaggy. I'm not used to being on this side. This feels weird. F-Boy. Oh, backwards cap.
Well, I figured
Cowherd would not be a fan.
Probably not the best look to be on screen with the hat, but
It's fine. No one cares.
It'd be cool if we could wear a hat with the headset. I'm a hat guy. So.
Yeah, I've worn it before during streams.
Have you?
It's just the thing on top, whatever you call the button or whatever, with the headset on it. It doesn't feel great. Oh, here we go. Aaron Rodgers. This is nothing. He's talking about Kirk Cousins' injury. Okay. Well.
George just says I low-key resemble Baker Mayfield. So my 2 quarterbacks.
Sam Howell and Baker Mayfield. All right. Type R for Roley, H for Harrison. By the way, why are the Cardinals benching Dobbs for Clayton Tune? Now, Kyler Murray, if he plays, that's one thing.
Like Dobbs is
yeah, maybe. Or
how about Rappaport here? Fix the tie. A little loose.
What is this look on trade deadline day? It's just a bad look.
I mean, this is a little loose.
Yeah, Rap Sheet's not looking great.
Pelosero's got a good look.
Yeah, it's just clean.
Honestly, no tie, jacket. God, Rappaport, you think this
Is he washed?
I think this is the first go-around. Figure it out.
R for Rolly, H for Harrison. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Gosh. Rolly's flexing on me. $50 for a beer bong race. $50. Got another Venmo entry. Oh, we got a few entries. Okay. We got Ben Z, Nathaniel Dale, and Steven Rios. Yeah, in. Oh, man. Yeah, let's get Rashid Shaheed on the show during the trade deadline. Seems interesting. Should Derek Carr get traded? Kidding. What do you guys think? Do you trust Ryan Poles as this team's GM? I'm very much in the, like, you trade Jaylon Johnson. I don't like that, man.
I feel like
I'm going to make this the poll question.
Listen.
I want to get a fair bearing here.
Yeah, listen, I know we don't want to trade Jaylon Johnson, but I kind of feel like it's inevitable, man. It feels like the relationship has been fractured slightly. And when I'm thinking here,
At what point, though, does Poles have to wear that and be like, that happened with Roquan and now it's happened with Jaylon?
well, here's the thing. We kind of disagreed a little bit, but as soon as he had that pick 6 against the Raiders and he did the money sign, I said on our watch party stream, like, I don't like that.
You didn't like it?
I don't like it one bit.
I'm not even saying I loved it. I'm just saying, like, unlike Roquan, he showed up to training camp. Unlike Roquan, until 7 hours ago, he did not request a trade, and he did not do it publicly, which he still hasn't done. Unlike Roquan, he has not caused distractions. If he does one little thing after that play, when he's handled everything else like a pro, like, I'm not even saying I like it, but, like, if you're gonna trade a dude because of that, like,
No, I get that.
You gotta ditch the ego.
My thing
man.
is, like, as soon as he did that, that showed me that there's a disconnect between the front office and Jaylon Johnson, and that's kind of where I knew things were heading down a dark path. Because when you do that middle of the game, mid-season, you're telling me that it's not close to an extension.
Well, and I think that's become clear.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Like, as soon as he did that to me, it immediately pointed to, this isn't heading into a good path for the Bears and Jaylon Johnson.
Here's what's frustrating, though. The Bears and Roquan, according to reports, were like $2.5 million per year off.
That's not that much.
Dude, figure it out. Like,
Let's just meet in the middle.
Like, and again, I like Tremaine Edmonds, but, like, if you're going to give him 18 and you won't give Roquan 20, like, I don't know if you know football. Like, I'm sorry. Like, they got a second and they also signed TJ. They could have still signed TJ Edwards. Sure, you don't get the second round pick, but, like, I mean, is Jervon Dexter, like, exact, or I don't even know if it was the Dexter or Stevenson, whatever. The point being is Roquan's top 5 at his position, and you trade him for a second over $2-3 million a year.
Yeah.
Like, that's not great, man. That's not great. Eduardo, late question. It's not late. We're going to be here for another 2.5 hours. Do you think Fields would have won both games? I think they would have beaten the Raiders. That Raiders team just, like,
They stink.
they didn't show up, and they're horrible. Did you watch them last night?
I unfortunately
Detroit
did.
honestly kind of sucked.
No.
And
Mitch said this, and
they couldn't score in the red zone.
No, Mitch said this. I completely agree that the Lions played one of their worst games of the season, if not the worst game.
And the
of the
game
season.
was never in doubt.
And they outgained the Raiders the second most out of any game this season. The only game that the winning team out yardaged the other team was 70-20, Miami over Denver.
Yikes. Yeah, the Raiders are horrible. They would have won that game. They probably still would not have beaten the Chargers. I'm not going to, say something crazy like, oh, yeah, Fields is there. They would have scored 35 points.
Would have been close.
I mean, I think they would have had a better chance based on how – I'll put it this way. Fields gives you a better chance in a game that becomes a track meet than Bajan
DJ Moore would have hit us more than scumbag Tyson Bagent.
Here's our Super Chat menu. And try to have fun. Listen, if you guys want us to sign off, we can call it a day. But 5 jumping jacks for a first-time Super. $10, we're taking shots. $50, we'll do the beer bong race. Then $100, you can get a sticker on the Bears Now Helmet Hall of Fame. I'll tell you what, we're less than $50 away from 200. If someone sends in a 50, not only will Rolly and I race, I'll do a bonus beer bong. So I'll do two for the price of one. Rolly will still do his one as well. So if we get a 50 right now, I will hop on board. Will the Bears trade Jaylon Johnson? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. By the way, the poll question, Rolly, of do you trust Ryan Poles? 53% trust, 47% no.
I'm surprised.
This might hinge on the Jaylon Johnson outcome.
I mean, I'm still surprised that most of the people have trust in it, though.
I think the Sweat thing has gotten people okay, that makes sense.
And I just want people in the chat because I see a lot of no's. This is not should the Bears trade Jaylon Johnson.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen?
4:01 Eastern, 3:01 Central Time. Is Jaylon Johnson still a member of the Chicago Bears? Yes or no?
What do you think happens?
I think he does get traded. I think it's a Y. So, I feel like most of the people in the chat were answering should they, and I just want to make it clear. This is asking
what do you
will
think
they?
Will happen? Good. It's a good point.
And I feel like this is almost 50-50 as well.
By the way, I don't know what to make of this, but the Bears blog thinks this Montez Sweat trade is a move you make if you're preparing to move on from your defensive head coach. I mean, I'm still in the camp. I don't think this Sweat trade has anything to do with Matt Eberflus. He's either going to be here or he's not based on, I think he's 96% gone.
Yeah.
The only way he survives is, how many games are left? 9? Got to win 6 of them.
Wait, what are the Bears?
They're 2-6.
Oh, yeah, there is 9.
I mean, you got to win at least 5 of your remaining 9 to show any goodwill.
And here's the trade. The Vikings are trading for Josh Dobbs. What did I say? This is why I subscribe. I knew it.
Josh Dobbs, welcome to the NFC North. The Bagent-Dobbs game is going to hit different, if that's what it ends up being.
As soon as Gannon said that Dobbs is no longer the starter in Arizona, it was so clear on what team he was going to.
Honestly, well played by Arizona. Get a few weeks of decent play from Dobbs and ship him out.
The sad thing is he actually played pretty decent.
Yeah,
and they still went 1-6.
They could have, I think, 1-7.
1-7.
That roster's horrible, though.
Oh, sorry, guys. Maybe I think I might have scared some people on.
You think Danielle Hunter?
What did I say?
You said it right.
What? No, did I say me? I think I might have said, look at what just happened, and I think people thought it might have been Jaylon Johnson.
Oh, yeah, that's bad. That's a yellow card, not a red card.
It's what we call in the business a little tease.
Little tease.
JP McDonnell had a heart attack. Sorry, guys. A little tease in the business.
We'll get to Tony in a second, but let's talk a little bit more about Prize Picks. And Rolly and I love playing Prize Picks because, you play fantasy football, you do your draft, and sometimes by week 5, week 6, you're just out of the mix. That's where daily fantasy comes into play because you can play every single night, NBA, NHL, college football, NFL. It's a whole lot of fun. The way it works is simple. You pick anywhere from 2 to 6 players on your entries and just project if they will go for more or less than their stat projections. For example, I got DJ more or less on his receiving yards this week. I'm trying the reverse jinx here. It's a win-win. If he hits it, I lose my Prize Picks entry here. But if he doesn't, then I am on track to make some money here. I got the more on Cole Kmet receiving yards, and then Alvin Kamara more receiving yards as well. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. That 3-pick entry, 10 to win 50. 5 times your money on a 3-pick entry, 25 times your money on a 6-player entry if you're able to hit one of those. Get started today, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100. Here's the most recent trade. Josh Dobbs to Arizona for,
They don't know yet.
what do you think, a 6th?
I'm guessing 7th. What did he go for to Cleveland?
I thought it was like a 5th for, like, I thought it was one of those, like, swaps. I thought it was, like, Dobbs and a 7th for a 5th or something like that.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting trade, but when the Vikings and Bears play on Monday Night Football, I believe, in relatively soon, within the next month, right? Or is it late early in the season?
I think it's like, gosh, when is it? I think it's like week 13, maybe? And it's also Monday night.
I said Monday night.
Oh, I think it's Sunday. November 27th, so it's in about a month. It's week 12. Week 12. The Browns have also signed a wide receiver,
James Prochet.
James Prochet.
To the P squad, though.
Is Josh Dobbs like the Jay Crowder of the NFL?
No, Josh Dobbs is now going to be the
Johnson.
If you still do
the new Josh Johnson,
if you still do NFL grids, Josh Dobbs is going to be the king very soon.
Yeah. Is that still? Do you still play?
I don't.
Yeah. Super chat from Rogue. Stay on until the trade deadline. That's the plan.
It will be on Jaylon Johnson watch.
Yeah,
very,
we're on
very
Jaylon
soon.
Johnson watch.
When should we change that title? Honestly?
I'm gonna change it now. Honestly, I'm gonna change it now. Appreciate it, Rogue. Here, will you hop on and answer this next one while I figure out what I want to do here?
Yeah, 1 second.
Give me a sec here, guys.
Cool. Tony Stanton with a $5 super chat. Did Poles hire Flus? He did, yeah?
Yeah, so bring me back on because there's been a lot of discussion about this. The Bears, in classic Bears fashion, they were interviewing GMs and head coaches at the same time. Okay? To me, they should not have started interviewing head coaching candidates, but I kind of understand because, like, if you wait too long, then guys are gone, so you at least got to get an idea of who's out there. They had interviewed several GMs and head coaches when they picked Ryan Poles. They liked Matt Eberflus, the search committee. But unless it's been lied about publicly, unless Poles didn't tell the truth, whatever, unless the reports are false, Ryan Poles had final say on who the head coach was. So he chose Matt Eberflus. Now, was he influenced by the Bears' search? I don't know. I do know that he interviewed him himself as well. So take that for what it's worth. Like, I don't think you can, like, blame the Bears completely and just, like, wipe the slate clean from Poles. Like, at the end of the day, he picked Flus. Like, he said in his presser, I can't remember the exact quote I'm paraphrasing. He was asked, hey, why did you not expand your search after you became on, yada, yada, yada? Because the Bears had 3 finalists, if you remember, for head coach. It was Matt Eberflus, Dan Quinn, and Jim Caldwell, which Jim Caldwell, that is something. And Poles chose Flus. He answered by saying, I had full authority to interview more candidates, but I had my guy right here. Now, there's also another wrinkle. Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles have the same agent. Did that play a role? I don't know. But I don't think you can just look at this if this ends up going the way we think it is with Flus and be like, well, it wasn't Poles' guy. He didn't pick him. He absolutely picked him. He could have gone in a different direction, and he did not. Okay. I'm good. Yeah, we're good. I changed it. We got Larry here with the super chat. 2 hours, 20 minutes or so. Drink up. Going to be a long season. I see them keeping Jaylon Johnson and tagging him if they can't get a contract done. That's what I would do. Like, Jaylon wouldn't be happy about it, but I would rather tag and keep him than just trade him right now, unless you just get blown away with an offer. Cheers. Chicago ain't for everybody. Rumor is that Flus was hired by McCaskey because his sister is married to one. Poles is a scapegoat for George, and if this is true, George is a snake.
Going full conspiracy theory on Bears now today.
Here's the thing, too. Like, Ryan Poles was garnering a lot of interest from multiple teams. Like, he didn't have to take this job necessarily.
Do you know who the other teams were? Because I don't.
He was a finalist with the Giants. Now, I think they chose Shane, but he was a finalist there. I believe he also he was in the interview pool for Minnesota. They went with Kwesi. I'm not sure if anyone else interviewed, but it's not like only the Bears were interested in him. I remember that specifically. So, I just I don't buy these theories. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to say I was in every conversation, know every detail, but end of the day, Ryan Poles made it clear publicly, like, I found my guy, and it was Matt Eberflus. So maybe he's lying. I don't know, but that would seem weird to me. Aaron Wolf, Josh Dobbs is the man with no eyebrows. You can't trust somebody with no eyebrows. My wife's a big eyebrow person. Like, we'll be like at dinner or something. She'll be like, "You see those eyebrows?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's a very weird thing, but he does have no eyebrows, and it's a look. I saw Josh Dobbs at when we went to the Super Bowl at Topgolf. Big dude, and he was bald without eyebrows. Can't confirm. J-Bill's Games, Bears legend, Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles was right there, Minnesota. Nick Foles is done. Like, he's retired without filling out the paperwork.
Do you have to fill out paperwork?
I mean, I don't think you have to, but if you want to, like, I think you actually do if you ever want to be, like, Hall of Fame eligible, but obviously Nick Foles is never going to the Hall. Like, I actually don't know if Tony Romo ever filed retirement papers.
Guess that makes sense, right? Like, if you know you're not going to get in the Hall of Fame, what's the point?
Stay in those fantasy football website pools forever. Nick Foles in 20 years, you can draft him.
Now, my question, if you file for retirement, you should not be allowed to come out of retirement. Once you send the paperwork in, you're done.
Ooh. Brett Favre, if you would have been screwed. Sangray Kim, even if we get a 2 for Mooney, you're not getting a 2 for Mooney. Or Jalen Pole's going to draft another high-round bottom feeders like Jervon and Tyreek. Need a new talent evaluator. I don't think Tyreek's a bottom feeder. Like, it's been up and down, but you see the promise there. Dexter's flashed a bit. I don't love that pick, but we have seen some flashes. But, yeah, like, Poles is going to have to hit on more picks. There's no doubt about it. So, and what I will say, even though I'm still positive on Tyreek Stevenson, not to be your CB1, like, I don't like that at all. You trade Jaylon Johnson, you're asking Tyreek Stevenson. You're expecting a lot there, and I just don't know if he's ready for that. Victor Rangel, Bagent's first 2 career starts better than Fields. Well, yeah, I mean, Matt Nagy completely hung Fields out to dry in his first start in Cleveland. Now, Fields' second start against Detroit was actually pretty good. He was rock solid in that game, won that game. But I'm guessing if you combine the stats, that's probably true from a statistical standpoint, because I've never seen a worse game plan for any quarterback, especially a rookie in his first start, than the one in Cleveland, Fields' rookie year, and I think it's had a lasting impact to this day, if I'm being honest. Trade details for Montez Sweat, if you did miss it here. Very simple. 2024 second for Montez Sweat. What's that? You're good if you want to get a slice and do all that. I can chill for a little bit. All right, Rolly's hopping out, so you know what that means. Every $10 we get in Super Chats, he's got to take a shot when he gets back. Every $10 in Super Chats, he's got to take a shot when he gets back. So if you want to make Rolly drink, he hasn't drinking anything today except for that beer bong race. Every $10 until he gets back, he's got to drink. Read some comments here while Rolly's gone. Bagent is not it. Yeah, I like Bagent as a backup. We'll see how he plays this week against New Orleans. Harry says the stars are aligning for Jim Harbaugh. We'll get that super chat up. We're back. That's $2. Every 10 is a shot. Let's see. Actually, you know what? We'll go every 5 since $10 are already shots. Every 5. So we already have $2. So if someone sends in a 3, that would be a shot. Recap of important trades. We'll do that when Rolly gets back. But Josh Dobbs just got traded to the Vikings. Now, Kevin O'Connell did say that Jaron Hall will likely start this week, but Ben Johnson could be available. Eduardo says, hi, Harrison. What's up, Eduardo? Pension if you file. Good point, Jim Sarver. Harry, which drill artist do you like? I have no idea. Super Bowl baby from No Name. I'm curious to see how Sweat plays. I mean, I expect him to play this weekend, so another stupid move, Will says. I don't mind it. I like it. You need pass rushers. He's young. Keep him long term. Pick swap for Dobbs, the classic 6th, 7th pick swap. So it's going to be Dobbs and a 7th for a 6th. So there you go. There's a shot for Rolly. JP sending in a 5. No Name says Bears winning out. That'd be something. Benjamin, why can't we fire Getsy and Flus now? You can. Just doesn't seem like they're going to. Brian Thomas says, hi, Harrison. Love your show. JP, we'll get your super chat on screen when Rolly gets back. Same with the prior super chat. How old is Sweat? He's 27. Spacehead OG, watch us go 10-7. I mean, look at the remaining schedule for the Bears. It's obviously grim in terms of playoff chances. So if you want any hope, you got to win in New Orleans this week. Then you got Carolina at home. So that's a 2-game stretch. If you beat New Orleans, you could get to 4-6 because I wouldn't pick the Bears to beat a lot of teams, but I think Carolina at home is a team you should beat. At Detroit the next week, that's probably a loss. That'll get you to 4-7. At Minnesota without Kirk Cousins, let's be optimistic. 5-7. Okay. Detroit at home, coming off a bye week. Can you beat the Lions coming off a bye? Let's go crazy optimistic. You win that game, 6-7. At Cleveland, you're probably going to lose, 6-8. Arizona and the Falcons at home. Again, I'm not picking this team to beat many teams, but is Kyler Murray playing? If not, you should probably beat Arizona at home. I mean, I see a path to maybe getting to 7 or 8 wins, but they're not making the playoffs. They're not making the playoffs. We were going through the schedule, and I was like, best case scenario, what happens? But, yeah. This staff, by the way, has yet to win 2 games in a row. Just think about that. Like, think how bad you have to be. You owe 1 shot, by the way. Just 1. Harry says, the stars are aligning for Jim Harbaugh. The only thing is, with that recent report, like, if the NCAA suspends him, are they going to... The NFL says they might match that suspension. Like, they don't want to be a safe haven for Jim Harbaugh. So, I don't know what's going to happen there. By the way, the classic pick swap for Joshy Dobbs. Classic pick swap. Strikes again. JP McDowell, big problem with the Bears is ownership, which will never change. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the McCaskies are inspiring a lot of folks. Michael, I'll take a shot for this. Want me to just fill you up with this piece, or you got some over there? You can use that. All right, let me read Michael here in a second. Ugh. We got, after seeing him Sunday night, Poles should have taken Tuli Tuipulotu. Yeah, I liked him a lot. I wish they would have drafted him too. He was there in the 2nd round when you had a couple of those picks. How much are we looking at if we extend Jaylon Johnson and Montez Sweat? Who else on our team is up for a new contract? I mean, if you keep Darnell Mooney, that's a guy you could extend, but I don't think he would cost crazy money, maybe like $10 million a year at this point, unless he has a strong finish to the season. But let's say you give Johnson $18 a year and Sweat $25, you still have over $60 million in cap space. Like, still a lot of money. And you can cut Cody Whitehair, which would save over $10 million. You can cut Eddie Jackson, which would save over $10 million. Like, you have a ton of money to work with. And by the way, I would cut both those players. I like Eddie, but he can't stay healthy. So if I can clear $12, $13 million, whatever it is, I'm probably going to do that. Cheers, Michael. Rolly.
I-O. Cheers. Ah.
Jaxo says...
I tell you what, Fireball stinks.
Yeah, Rolly's a vodka guy.
I'm a tequila / vodka guy. Vodka.
Clip it.
I'm not someone who's gonna. I don't like the sugar. Just give me.
Well, we just got a 20, so that's either 2 for me or 1 each. Do you want Jace to go get you some of that vodka in there?
I think so.
Just get one of the small square vodkas. Appreciate that. Jaxo says all the national media is saying the Bears suck. I mean, They do suck until proven otherwise. Right? Like,
gotta win games, not to suck.
you got to earn your stripes, man. Appreciate the 20. That's two shots each with Samuel as well. He says, I believe in Poles. I think that he doesn't have his guy running the team, and I won't pass judgment until next year. I love Fields, but he doesn't seem to elevate players around him like elite QBs do. Yeah, and look, if they've come to that decision, then they're going to draft a quarterback, period, end of story. So we'll see what ends up being the case. I have a theory. I don't know this for a fact. I'm not saying I 100% believe it. I think they've already made the decision on Fields. That's what I believe. I think they've already decided he's not their guy. So we'll see. Now it's going to be 3 shots each as Fick Blurredman says, won't Jim Harbaugh want GM power? Here's my thing, though. He might ask for it, but what leverage does he have at this point? Like,
none.
If the Michigan thing goes south, then I think you just have to be happy to get an NFL head coaching position. So let's go to Paleo.
I want on the record, I am not a Harbaugh guy. I want to, for the Bears at least, I want Ben Johnson.
I'd be fine with Ben Johnson. I'll say this. If there's a suspension that comes with it, you can't do that because you can't waste another season.
Exactly. Me personally, hard reset. The Bears have always been in a team that has struggled offensively. It's just true.
It's
true.
Absolutely true.
So why not go an offensive head coach for one time? Draft a quarterback with one of those top 3 picks in all likelihood, and let's cook. Come on. Give me Benny J in the Windy City.
Benny J. He sounded like Bobby Fairways there. Paleo says, I didn't read old Paleo. Quick trigger rolly there. I think Bears beat Arizona even with Kyler Murray in. They are that bad. Atlanta is a maybe for me. Here's the thing, though. If they beat the Cardinals, they ain't beating the Falcons. You know why? Because they don't win back-to-back games. They've yet to do it. To bear down with the 2, what head coaches are you eyeing for next year? Well, we just talked about Harbaugh and Ben Johnson.
Benny J, baby.
Let's expand that discussion. Let's just say Ben Johnson gets a different job, et cetera, whatever. I got to think, by the way, though, that Ben Johnson, if he had say in who they drafted at quarterback, would want this job. Same division. You get a talented rookie quarterback to build with. I would think he'd be very interested.
Give me Benny J, man.
Who else is even out there?
Dude, listen, Ben Johnson to me is just like the one guy that I know, so I kind of run with it. Plus, I do like his offense in Detroit. I think they're pretty creative.
What do you think happens with Bieniemy? You think they promote him in Washington?
I do think there's something to be said about never getting a job after being in Kansas City and being so successful.
But I think he's done a nice job with Washington.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe he finally gets at this circle around, but
I kind of think, though, like, if Washington fires Rivera, they might just, like, say, hey, we're going to give you next year. And he'd probably just stick around, right?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I see a couple Lincoln Riley in the chat. Dude, that would be a train wreck.
I've soured on that idea.
I've never been in on that idea.
It wasn't like my top idea, but it was more of like, well, if you get Caleb Williams, the guy who's coached him, I guess you could talk me into it. But we might do. I'll tell you what, Roy. I think if the Saints or if the Bears lose this week, it's time for a fresh Matt Eberflus replacements.
Yeah.
I think we're due for a
Number
fresh
1, Benny J.
Benny J. Jeff Bartlett. I'm losing faith in polls. Says one thing, does something else. I have a sinking feeling he'll choose the coaching staff over players. Jaylon Johnson earned his pay, so pay the man. I agree. He's earned that payday. If Matt Eberflus is retained and this team doesn't go on some big time like run to finish the year, like winning 6 of 9 or something like that, that is just a bad
I got some news.
Bad look. We got news?
Actually, it's more of a rumor.
Okay.
Rolly rumors.
Rolly rumors.
Hop
on screen for this.
Yeah, give me 1 second here.
Rolly rumors. I'm going to start taking shots. I owe 4, and now you're going to owe 4 with the Sam Lakhtara piece, which you'll be happy to take.
Yeah. 1 second here.
Here's one down the hatch.
Rolly rumors is coming in hot.
Oh, I'm always down for some Rolly
It's
Rumors.
got a nice ring to it, to be honest. Rolly Rumors. But I got
that might be a segment this offseason.
Rolly Rumors.
Rolly Rumors.
I got a source. I can't reveal my sources, so I just want that on the record. I'm a man of good integrity. I will not reveal my sources. That Lincoln Riley at USC wants to leave the Trojans, and he actually wants to be the coach of the Chicago Bears. He's waiting on a contract, and that's the reason why USC stinks this year, is because he's been not interested, not locked in, and focused on joining Caleb Williams potentially in Chicago. Rolly Rumors! It just came across my desk, came across the wire. I wanted to relay that information.
I will say this. There was a tweet a couple of weeks ago that Lincoln Riley might be eyeing the NFL. I don't know if it was like from a legitimate source, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Sam Laktara, I took my 4 shots. Rolio's 4. Dream scenario after the Sweat trade. Re-sign Sweat in the offseason. I would just sign him now. Extend Jaylon Johnson. Fire the coaching staff. Bring in Harbaugh. Use first rounders on Marvin Harrison and Joe Alt. Hope Fields returns to him. Returns is rich. And I love Justin Fields, but he hasn't been him for extended enough stretches to say he's ever been him. He's definitely had really good games and really good moments, but I think there is something to be said for you just load up the roster one more year, and then if the QB situation isn't much better after next year, you just draft one in 25. But I just think that Ryan Poles is going to look at this, especially with how he's operated in contracts, Rolly. He wants to reset that QB clock. That's the feeling I get.
That's also the thing as a GM.
And he wants to just draft his own guy.
If you're the GM here, if you draft another quarterback and you're allowed to stay on, you also reset your timetable as a GM for your job, because you are no longer on the hot seat if you're able to one hit on that quarterback, but you're also going to get 2 to 3 years with that quarterback.
Well, you would think. Here's the thing, though. They let Ryan Pace draft Justin Fields, and then they fired him 9 months later.
Well,
the Bears have been known to do weird shit.
I
do agree, though, with the premise of if you're going to let Ryan Poles draft a quarterback, I think you have to give him at least 2 years.
You got to let him see it through.
At least a little bit. So.
What's his plan? We got to know.
Yeah. Nathan, Rolly will get those shots going after he chomps on his pizza here. Nathan says, benefits of trading Sweat now versus wait and sign. Well, number one, other teams were trying to trade for him. I think that's pretty clear. Number two, the Commanders, if it gets to the offseason, they could just tag him or re-sign him. Number three, you're competing with other teams who, by the way, might be more appealing than you. So why not just control what you can control? Don't let them hit the open market and get it done now. I think that's the reasoning. So you're getting a good player in his prime, 27 years old. He's an excellent run stopper, really good pass rusher, having the best year of his career in sack production, on pace at least. I mean, he's on pace for a 13, 14 sack season, which he's never done before. He's always been in that 8 to 10 range, and while also being a premier run stopper. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see him in a Bears uniform. And does Domrov have to change his number again? That's the question. He changed from 91 for Yannick.
Depends if
to
Sweat
90.
opens up the checkbook.
Open it up, Monty. I mean, when you get benched for Khalid Kareem, I don't think you have any say on your number anymore. I will say this. Montez Sweat wearing number 0 would be kind of tough.
No.
You're out on 0?
For a defensive lineman, yes. He would
Brian
be a
Burns
bust.
switched to 0 this year.
And he stinks. I don't know if that's true, but
he does not stink.
Rolly stats.
Rolly analytics.
Rolly analytics. A defensive lineman with the number 0.
Truman,
automatically stinks.
Truman in the chat says, breaking news, Daniil Hunter to the Bears, 2025 second-round pick. Fake news. By the way, I think it's pretty clear they're not trading Daniil Hunter at this point. I think they're going to try and at least be competitive this year. That's my feeling. What do you think of Jaylon Johnson to the Bills? I wouldn't like it. If I'm a Bills fan, I'd love it. I don't want to trade Jaylon Johnson. We can talk about the latest on Jaylon Johnson here as we're under 2 hours to go. He did request a trade late last night as contract negotiations have apparently stalled. We are under 2 hours from the deadline, so if you're in the camp of wanting to keep him, getting closer to that, look, I get it. Maybe he's asking for too much. Maybe you have a price tag you think he's worth, and he's way above it. But even if you don't figure out a new deal now, just wait. Wait it out. You can drag this to free agency. You can franchise tag him. Like, don't trade him just to trade him. Like, this is one of your best players, period, not just defense. Like, on anybody's rankings of this roster, he's top 5. For me, he's top 2 or 3. I think he's that good of a player. He's having the best year of his career. Quarterbacks, we talked about this on the show throughout the week. If you spike the football on every play, a QB rating is 39.6. When targeting Jaylon Johnson this year, it's been 24.7 according to Pro Football Reference. What does that mean? That means that you are having very bad luck when you target number 33. So that's a guy I'm keeping around. We do know there are some interested teams right now, the Bills, Cowboys, Eagles, Steelers, and Niners. Now, it seems like the Cowboys have kind of taken themselves out of the race. I don't think they want to pay what the Bears are looking for in draft compensation, but the Bills, Eagles, Steelers, and Niners are all interested, and to me, I want to keep this guy here. Like, if you keep him and find a way to extend him, you now have premier players at all 3 levels of your defense. You have Montez Sweat in your defensive line. Yes, you traded Roquan Smith, but I think the pairing of Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards is solid, even though I would have kept Roquan. And you have Jaylon Johnson at corner, who's a top 15 corner in this league, maybe top 10. Like, to me, I'm keeping that, and I'm building upon that. I'm hoping Tyreek Stevenson continues to develop and gives you a good outside CB duo with Kyler Gordon in the slot. Because real talk, you're probably going to have to get a safety in here. Eddie Jackson can't stay healthy. Jaquan Brisker, I'm concerned about his concussion history now. Hopefully he's going to be okay moving forward, but you need someone next to him at minimum. Elijah Hicks is not starting caliber material, so you're going to have to get a safety either in the draft or free agency. Don't create another problem by trading Jaylon Johnson. Don't do it. Do not do it. Let's talk about one of our sponsors here at Chicago Bears Now. It is game time. Buying a ticket to a sporting event, concert, comedy show, or anything else, it shouldn't be frustrating. It shouldn't be stressful. It should be easy and painless. And now, guys, it is with our sponsor, Game Time. Their goal for you is to have a peace of mind with your purchase and help you save as much money as possible when buying your tickets, whether you're going to a Bears game, an awesome concert, or any other event. Game Time wants you to have the best experience possible. And by the way, looking for last-minute tickets, Game Time has the best deals for you, sometimes some flash sales if it's the day of. That's what I recommend. If you're kind of on the fence on whether or not you want to go to a game, I'll give you an example. Some guys in the office wanted to go to a Rangers World Series game, but tickets were very high ahead of Game 1. Waited till the day of, tickets dropped like 30%. Game Time had great deals, and they've got the best deals for you. And if you find, by the way, a ticket price cheaper on a different ticketing service in the same section and row that you're looking at on Game Time, they will not only match that, they'll give you 110% credit. So you'll even get a cheaper deal than you would have on that other app. They want you to enjoy your time and get the best deal possible. Here's what I want you to do. Go to your app store on your phone, download the Game Time app right now, and use promo code BearsChat. That's going to get you $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Go to Bears-Panthers in a couple of weeks. Go watch Montez Sweat. Go to a Bulls game. Get the deal right there. Bears Chat for $20 off. And go enjoy your sporting event. I love how they show the pictures, too, of exactly your vantage point, depending on what seat you're looking at from. So, Game Time. Go download the app today. It's that big G when you search in the app store. You can't miss it. Very, very easy. All right. I'm going to catch up on Super Chats, and then I'm going to let Rolly chill with you guys for a few. I'm going to run to the restroom, get some food in me, and then I'll be back. Matthew Burns says, got to start Fields rest of the year to evaluate. We know who Bajent is. Fields still an unknown commodity that we need to see more of. I'm conflicted at this point. I have a theory that the Bears have already decided that Fields isn't their guy. I would like to see more. I think the Bears have already decided, though. It's tough, man, because I feel like the Bears have not done a great job of getting a clean and clear evaluation of Justin Fields. I don't think they hired the right offensive mind for him in Luke Getsy. They tried to make him Aaron Rodgers. That's not his skill set. So, his first 2 years, he did not have adequate players around him. The offensive line still isn't great, although it is better. You do have DJ Moore now, and we've seen him and Fields have a good connection. But at the end of the day, I think Ryan Poles wants to go get his own guy, and if I was a betting man, which I am, I think he's going to end up doing that. All right, I'm going to hop off for a second. Deal for you guys. Every $5 while I'm gone, I'll take a shot when I get back. $5 while I'm gone. Rolly, take it away. Feel free to do the Venmo deal as well and let them know about that.
$5 a shot is a bit ridiculous. But let me know as we are an hour and 50 minutes away from the NFL trade deadline, I should say.
No team has contacted me.
Yeah, I saw. That's devastating. What would you do with Jaylon Johnson? Not what you think is going to happen. What would you do? You are Ryan Poles. Are you trading Jaylon Johnson or are you paying JJ? Another Josh saying P, Jaime saying P, Chris saying P, Benjamin saying pay, Top Shotta. I see majority of you guys type in your pays. The first person to say I trade him is Cody Munson. Rest of you are all saying pay. Pay the man. Everyone's saying pay besides Cody. Listen, I kind of agree with Harrison's sentiment that you don't have players on the roster currently that you can, I would say you don't have many players on the roster right now that you view as blue chip players for the future of your franchise. And I'm not going to come out here and say that Jaylon Johnson is some stud future Hall of Famer or a first-team All-Pro, but he is a top 20 cornerback in this league at bare minimum. Don't come around often, man. I wouldn't trade him unless you're getting an absolute haul, and maybe that's a first-round pick that you believe is going to be in the top 20s. But I'm paying Jaylon Johnson and see what he's worth, and if he stinks after you pay him, I guess we all got fooled, I'll say that. But Michael Ortman takes advantage of the $5 shot rule from Harrison while he's gone. Says, we have more holes than Swiss cheese. Keep JF1 and trade Carolina pick for a haul. Get Marvin Harrison Jr., Joe Alt or Olu, center, corner, safety, and fill trenches. Well, Michael, I appreciate you, but you basically just told me that every single position needs to be fixed. You're saying trenches, corners, safeties, I guess no linebackers. You also said the draft MHJ. Listen, I'll say this. DC Viper is saying Rolly worse commish than Goodell. What are you talking about? Goodell's a scumbag. I'm a good guy. I'll say this. I don't think you could trade the number 1 pick in back-to-back years. I just don't. At what point do you say enough picks and actually cash in on that? I mean, realistically, I don't know, man. I know it's not your pick, so Carolina picking 1 isn't because you finished there. But let's not act like the Bears aren't going to have a top 5 pick. They are. Unless they go on some miraculous run down the stretch of the season. So you're going to have 2 top 5 picks. Why not take unbelievable talent and add them to your roster? You also have a shit ton of cap space. Use that cap space alongside 2 top 5 picks, and now you're cooking with gas with a rookie quarterback, whether it be Caleb Williams or Drake May. I don't know. I just think enough's enough. Take the best quarterback that, listen, and these 2 quarterbacks, man, they're studs. They're studs. They're more talented than Fields. They are. And I don't personally, when you look at Drake May and Caleb Williams and you say they are both more talented than Justin Fields, Fields has not shown you enough that he is worth keeping. He had a good end of the season stretch last year. But in now this is his third year, in almost 3 years, you get half a season stretch. I'm cashing in on that number 1 pick and taking a quarterback. You can disagree with me if you want, but I'm cashing in because you're not going to get the number 1 pick often. I agreed with the Bears' sentiment of trading the number 1 pick last year because I don't think Bryce Young is more talented than Justin Fields or is enough as an upgrade. But Drake May and Caleb Williams, they are, in my opinion. Jaxo23, Justin was supposed to play this week, but now he isn't. It's weird. That's a bad omen for Fields. I don't know if he was supposed to play. Like, he had that thumb injury. Like, he can't really grip the football. I think it makes sense for him to not play this week. This would be his 3rd week missing, and then I would expect him to come back the following week because if they expected him to come back within 4 weeks, which would be after this game against the Saints, they would have just put him on IR if they thought he was going to miss 4 games. So I do think that he'll come back, not this week. Obviously, Eberflus already said that Tyson Bagent will be the starter. He will, in my opinion, come back the week after. I don't think it's a bad omen or anything like that. Garrett with a $50 super chat. Shout out to Garrett. Says 5 shots each. It's not how that works. Need to raise the energy level in here. We got Sweat, and I think Johnson trade rumors are pulls trying to lower Johnson's contract. He's staying in Chicago. Bear down. Well, I'll say this, Garrett. $50 is a beer bong race. So we'll do that when Harrison comes back. That actually does remind me that I owe 5 shots. So let's get drinking. I got my Patron. I'm in the Patron zone tonight. There's one. I just can't do the Fireball. It's because of the sugar. It's because of the sugar. Oh, the Vikings are making another trade. They're trading Ezra Miller to the Jaguars. The Vikings, the most busy team of the trade deadline. 2 trades in the last hour. Josh Dobbs coming to Minnesota. Ezra Cleveland going away to the to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's rough. Jeez. Neo says, Rolly, why did you request a trade? I did not request a trade. I am firmly good in my role here at Bears. DC Viper saying #fire Rolly. Listen, grass isn't always greener. You're not going to find another producer better than me and having a good time. Facts are facts. Shout out to Garrett Hanley. I'm taking another shot. I got 3 more. Did I say Ezra Miller? Wait, did I say Cleveland or Miller? I said Miller the first time? Sorry, Georgia Rebel. 2 shots for Rolly down. I got 3 more. Ezra Miller. Yeah, maybe I should stop taking shots. That beer bong and other Fireball shot already hit me. Talking actors over here. I think that was 3. Couple more. Remember, $5 super chats equal a shot for Harrison when he returns. We only have 1. Shout out Michael Ortman. But we do have a beer bong race coming soon for Garrett. So shout out to Garrett. Shout out to Garrett. Yeah, it's a rough day for Rolly. We're talking actors on NFL trade deadline day. Oh, man. All right. 6th round pick for Ezra Miller. No, Cleveland. I did that one on purpose. I did not accidentally say that. You know, that is something like I'll just talk and then I find a word that has actually nothing to do with what I was talking about. It'll slip in there. It's what happens. It's what happens. But you look at the trade details for that trade. Ezra Cleveland heads to Jacksonville. Vikings receive a 6th round pick. Vikings been active, man. They've made 2 trades. one with the Cardinals, acquiring Josh Dobbs, who is probably in line to start for the Vikings this week. I do wonder if they go Jaron Hall or Josh Dobbs on short notice. If you remember last season, the Titans signed Josh Dobbs and like 3 days later started for them in a must-win game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dobbs won't be starting? Okay, so it's Jaron Hall and Josh Dobbs will be the backup this week, but our old foe in the NFC North making a pair of trades on deadline day. Mustafa the Great. Why would want Getsy to ruin another young quarterback? Well, here's the thing, Mustafa, don't know which one it is. Getsy is no longer going to be the offensive coordinator of this team past this season. Because, in my humble opinion, I think they clean house with maybe the exception of one guy. I think Eberflus is gone. Getsy is gone. Obviously, Alan Williams, that situation earlier in the year, he's already gone. So I think the coordinator on the defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball, and head coach coming into the season will all be gone. Now, the main question I have surrounding the Chicago Bears is, are they going to ride with Ryan Poles into this upcoming stretch? Or do they go full clean house, where they get a new GM, a new coach, a new OC, and a new DC? So Getsy, to me, will not be the offensive coordinator under any circumstances for the 2024 NFL season. They will go full clean house, new head coach, OC, DC, maybe draft the quarterback, trade Fields. Because here's the thing. I think you can still get a first for Fields. Maybe that's rich. Maybe it's a second-round pick. But I think you can get maybe a first, maybe a second for Fields, definitely a second, maybe a first. And then if you could potentially, think about this, have 3 first-round picks if you trade Fields this offseason. You can use one of the Carolina pick on one of the quarterbacks and then use the other 2 to help build this roster, whether it be a Marvin Harrison Jr., or Joe Alt, a Olu, and then maybe go defense with that other pick. Like, there's just so much that you can do, and there's so much versatility that this offseason will be an interesting one for the Chicago Bears. There's no doubt about that. But to answer Mustafa's question, there is no chance, in my opinion, that Luke Getsy is back calling plays for the Chicago Bears next season. But if you've missed it, the news of the day in Chicago, the Bears trade for Montez Sweat. They send a second-round pick to Washington in 2024, acquire the pass rusher from Washington. This is why you subscribe. We went live, put out a video for you guys as well. We cover the Bears every single day. Harrison Graham, I ride shotgun. Hit that sub button. Montez Sweat, though, hell of a move for the Bears. I do like it because the biggest position of need for Chicago was clearly, well, outside of quarterback maybe, was pass rusher. One of the worst pass rushes in the NFL. They've been an excellent run-stopping team. There's no debating that. They've been phenomenal defending the run. But they can't get after the quarterback. Montez Sweat brings you best of both worlds. He can stop the run. He can get after the quarterback. I am all in on Montez Sweat, and you guys should be as well. And if you look at what he's done this season, 32 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 10 tackles for losses, forced a couple fumbles as well. Sweat's been an absolute beast, and if you look back to last season, he had 8 sacks as well. So he's an ascending player. 8 sacks last year. He's likely going to pass that this season. 45 tackles, 14 for loss. And if you didn't see that little number on your screen, which is games played, he played in every game for the Washington Commanders last season, and he has played in every single game for the Commanders this season. He is a durable player as well. There is just so many positives when looking at Montez Sweat, and I know there might be some PTSD from the Chase Claypool trade last trade deadline where they sent a second-round pick for a future move, acquiring Chase Claypool to help Justin Fields. I don't think this has any resemblance of it. I love this move by Ryan Poles, and as long as they keep Jaylon Johnson, I think this trade deadline is going to be an A+ for Poles and the Bears. Keith with a $5 super chat. It's also a first-time super chatter. I want Harrison to do a shot of Marlowe. We don't have that at Chat Sports, unfortunately. Maybe in the future, Keith, but appreciate the $5. Harrison will take a shot of Fireball when he gets back. Another shot for Aaron Wolf. $5 says, I say trade the Carolina pick for 3 first-round picks if that's the going rate. Who's offering that? But here's the thing. Like, how long are you going to push this down the line? At what point do you want to start winning football games? Aren't you sick of losing? Because if you trade that first-round pick for, let's say, a first-round pick in the next 3 drafts, that you get 3 first-rounders from one team. Say the Patriots. F it. They got the 5th overall pick in this draft, or 6th overall, and they offer you that pick, their first next year, and the year after that for that. You have those other picks, and maybe you can go trade those 2 first-rounders extra in the future for another veteran. But why not use that pick? Get your franchise guy, because after 3 seasons, or 2.5 seasons where we stand right now, I am not sold Justin Fields is the guy. And I don't know how you guys can be sold he is the guy. I understand Justin Fields has had really good flashes. The second half of the season stretch last year, he did look like a franchise quarterback. But he came back this year, struggled with accuracy, struggled with decision-making. He had a 2-game stretch against Denver and Washington that was very good. But then in the first half against the Minnesota Vikings, he was abysmal before getting hurt. I am not sold on Justin Fields being the guy in Chicago. I say trade him for a 1st or 2nd round pick this offseason. Use that 1st overall pick or 2nd overall pick on May or Caleb Williams. Draft another stud blue chip player with that your own 1st round pick. Spend in free agency once again because you have $100 million in space. And let's start cooking. Let's start winning games. Harrison's mentioned it 2 or 3 times on the stream today, but you have players on each section of your offense. You have a Montez Sweat on your D-line now, and one of those D tackles in the 2nd round of last year's draft, Pickens or Dexter, maybe they pan out. And now you got 2 studs on the defensive line. You got TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds on that 2nd level. And if you keep Jaylon Johnson, you got a CB1 in the secondary. Your defense is heading in the right direction. You just need the offense to come along with it. And I think maybe if you draft a QB in either one of Olu, Alt, or Marvin Harrison Jr. with your own 1st round pick, you're starting to build and cook something and get towards a good spot to win football games. You really, really are. I'm sick and tired of trading back and pushing down the line saying, oh, but we got all those picks. Who cares? You got to make selections with them. Take one of the 2 QBs. That's my take. That's my take. Michael Ortman says Roley sounds like Flus. I'm nothing like that fraud. I'd coach the Bears to a better record than Matt Eberflus. You can guarantee that. You can guarantee that. I ain't no Flus. I ain't no Flus. Roley's the definition of a casual. What am I listening to? I don't know. Give me your take then. Send a super chat. Discuss. If you want to disagree with what I say, you can't just say, Roley's a casual. Let me know what you disagree with, because you're likely wrong. Julius Thompson with a $10 super chat. Fields isn't perfect, but he blamed for all the, but he is blamed. That's how I'm going to take this. For all the losing in Chicago, fans are ready to run him out of town as if Lambeau leaping Luke and his 25 points per game gift of a defense has earned anyone's trust. Can I ask a serious question? Serious question. What has Justin Fields shown you that make you believe he is a franchise quarterback? Be honest. Be honest. I understand that the roster on field is not good. But let me know. Let me know. Being dead serious. Let me know what he's shown. Because his accuracy hasn't been good. His footwork hasn't been good. The only thing he's been good at is running. Come on now. Bears fans, you're better than this. You're better than this. It's a good point by Cade or Marcus or Mouse. Fields is shaky. He is. You need or streaky, you said. You need a consistent quarterback. Exactly. A caveman says almost broke the rushing record. I'm asking what has he shown as a thrower of the football. Thrower of the football. Hasn't shown anything to me that has made me believe he is going to be a stud or a franchise guy. Everyone hating just because you disagree with me. It's fine with me. I'm sleeping good at night. Looking at the chat, man. I understand the play calling is bad, man. So you guys would all rather trade the number 1 overall pick and build around Justin Fields. You already traded the number 1 pick one time to ride with Justin Fields. Really to do it again?
Sorry, I got caught up.
It's all right. Bears fans all hate me now because I told them Justin Fields stinks.
Whoa. I didn't say go full rogue.
I didn't go full rogue. They said a question of they should trade the number 1 pick. I said no. I said, how long are you going to trade the number 1 pick? When are you going to try to win now? And what has Justin Fields shown you to make you think he is a franchise guy? And they're freaking out.
How much do I owe?
I don't give a shit anymore.
Jeez.
You owe like a decent amount.
Did we get a new 50?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So.
Yes. I can, honestly, I'm pinning point 2023 trade deadline. I hope the Bears stick with Justin Fields. And now I hope Caleb Williams and Drake May are studs. And I could go back to this day and say, what now?
They're saying, thank God I'm back.
Yeah, because they're all mad that I'm calling how it is. Justin Fields stinks.
Chill out, Rolly. Chill out. You would take him in New England.
No, I wouldn't.
He's better than Mac Jones.
I would rather have the two, Drake May or Caleb Williams.
Well, okay, sure. But he's better than Mac Jones.
I never said that. All I'm saying is that I would trade Justin Fields for a first and draft one of the quarterbacks with Carolina's pick.
Look, to Rolly's point, and I'm not going to say Justin Fields stinks because I don't think he stinks. I think he's been very inconsistent. I don't think they hired the right coaching staff for him. I think the pieces around him before this year and still the offensive line has been inadequate. But to Rolly's point, and I've made this point, if you have the number 1 or even number 2 pick, take mine and his opinion out of it. They're going to draft a quarterback. They just are. Like Ryan Poles did not draft Justin Fields. But he doesn't stink. I'm not willing to go there.
Now that Harrison says they'll draft a quarterback, and I bet everyone's okay with that.
You don't live in the gray at all. You're too blunt about things sometimes. And yes, I appreciate a strong opinion.
They're just mad that I'm telling them how it is.
I see both sides of it. I see building the roster one more year, then going 2025 quarterback. The risk is, though, you may not be picking that high in the draft again. Like, I feel like that's the logic. It's like, okay, like, in a perfect world, yes, draft Marvin Harrison, draft Olu, keep building the roster, and then if Fields really isn't it at that point, then get one in 2025. Well, what if you only have, like, the 15th pick in 2025?
My also point is, why keep on pushing down the line? Don't you eventually want to win? If you trade the number 1 overall pick for future first-round picks, like, what are we doing here?
I will actually counter this, though, and we talked about this yesterday. Rookie quarterbacks do not win. They don't. They very rarely win.
I mean, if you get a good enough roster around him, though.
Well, that's the point, though. If you're using that pick to draft him, that's less opportunity to get players around him.
My thing is, though.
That's the problem the Bears have is, yes, the QB situation is unclear at best, But you got problems all over this team.
But my thing is, if you have $100 million to spend in cap, like let's not act like the draft is the only way to make this team better next year.
Okay, you spent $72 million on Tremaine Edmonds. Do you think he's made a massive difference?
Well, that's $72 million not in one season. That's misconstruing the $100 million.
18 a year. Do you think he's made a massive difference?
No, but that's also a horrific use of your money.
I think that's Bears fans' point. It's like, do we even trust them to sign the proper players? Right?
Oh.
You traded Roquan because you didn't want to pay him $20 million, so you paid Tremaine Edmonds $18 million. That's bad processing.
Well, no one said that.
And now maybe
back to that.
Now and maybe this conversation is shifting. Is the right leadership in place? Do they want? Maybe they don't want Ryan Poles to draft a quarterback. They don't trust him to pick the right guy. Which you've never had the guy, so that's a valid reasoning too. Fields can win. Look, I'm not even saying Fields is the guy. There's more evidence to say he's not than he is. And I do think if the Bears are picking in the top 2, they will draft a quarterback. That's what I think they will do. Is that the best chance to be awesome long term? I don't know. I mean, Dane Brugler said it this morning on Hogan Johns, if anyone listened to it. If you're picking in the top 2, you got to take Mayor Williams. That's what he said. So, 5 JJs to keep JJ. I don't know what JJs means.
I hope Jaylon Johnson gets traded now.
Chill out. Rolly's, he's getting defensive. You guys really worked him up. Wins are a team stat, not a QB stat. They are, but like, I think we do have to be fair too. And I like Justin a lot. I think he could go somewhere else and be pretty good. But he has had chances in the fourth quarter the last year and a half to win some games, and he hasn't been able to do it in most situations. Now, again, I don't think the Bears have helped him hardly at all. I think the DJ Moore move really was a good move to help him. Other than that, though, sure, you got Darnell Wright. He's still a rookie, though. So, I don't like Luke Getsy. I don't think his offense is a fit. Young Nile, if you think bringing in a new coaching staff, or if you bring in a new coaching staff, I think you draft a quarterback instead of keeping Fields and ask him to learn yet another. That's another good point, too. It's like, even if you think Fields is the guy, if you're changing coaching staffs, are you going to give him a chance in a third offense here? Probably not. That rarely happens with one franchise. Chicago ain't for everybody. May going to be a bust, and I'm going to laugh. You're not going to laugh if the Bears draft him and he's a bust. That would suck. That would suck. Owen Spencer, dude, Fields was second in QBR before he got hurt. 330, 4 touchdowns. Then the good play calling disappears. No QB can fix. I've said this a million times. Pipe down Rolly.
The 2 games against the Commanders and Broncos, yes.
Yeah.
He was good.
He was good in that stretch, but I'll keep it level-headed too. Like, you have to stack good performances. Yes, I thought the game plan against Minnesota sucked. I don't think Luke Getsy plays to his strengths nearly often enough, but he just didn't look the same that game. Like, what's the disconnect? Is Getsy selling out? Like, I just, like, that doesn't help him. Now, I think he stinks. I don't think – you want to talk about someone who I think stinks. Luke Getsy stinks, but I don't think Justin Fields is blameless either. It's the line. Part of the problem. No doubt about it. Rufus, trade Rolly and Fields to Atlanta. Rolly and Fields to Atlanta. What am I looking at here?
I'm curious why Rufus would say this, though, because if you're trading Fields to Atlanta, that kind of means you're on my side. So now I'm very lost.
Oh, Chase Young is being traded to the 49ers.
Oh, my God. A mid-round pick?
Chase Young is being traded to the 49ers. What if they got him for a 4th? No way, right?
That's crazy.
Chase Young to the 49ers. I'll say this, if it was a 3rd, because the Niners are going to be picking late, probably.
A mid-round pick is crazy.
Wow.
Rich get richer, man.
The Commanders are selling out. They're done. Rivera's toast. Wow. All right. Jeffrey Harrington. And yes, I'm going to rip all these shots. Do you really think Ben Johnson leaves Detroit?
Third round.
Third round? So would you have rather done that than a second for Sweat?
How about this?
Take the chance with the medical question marks?
Ready for this one, Harrison? I would have just traded a second and a third for both. Problems potentially solved.
It's not the worst idea. Wow. Do you really think Ben Johnson, after he turned down multiple jobs last year, also Sweat is a beast? I give it an A grade. Yeah, I think Sweat's the overall better player, but Young for a third is appealing. Now, I do wonder about that knee. I do. I don't know how much information San Francisco got, but wow. Wow. Harry, the only thing harder than being a Bears fan is listening to Rolly's takes. Hey, cut my guy Rolly some slack.
They're just mad that I said they should trade Justin Fields and draft a quarterback.
Oh, you didn't tell me. You said so that you thought you think they should trade him in the next 2 hours?
Oh, I didn't say that today.
Oh, okay.
I just said I think they should take a quarterback with one of the first 2 picks.
So let me ask you this. You get the 4th pick. What are you doing?
What do you mean? Like, you're telling me you
Bears
think,
have picks 4 and 7. What are you doing? I'm just throwing a different hypothetical out. So I think it gets tricky at that point,
to me,
right?
there's no chance that happens.
No chance?
You think
you already are out from the number 1
pick?
pick?
3 teams are going to jump Carolina?
Carolina just beat the Texans?
Yeah.
It's the NFL. And the Panthers.
There's no chance.
The Panthers have no incentive to lose.
There's actually only one team that I think has a potential to finish worse than the Panthers.
The Bears?
No. The Cardinals.
Cardinals? If Kyler comes back.
Dude, the Panthers are horrific. They barely beat the Texans at home. The Texans aren't that good either.
I'm just saying it's the NFL. You can't just bank on them getting the number 1 pick for you, especially when
they'll be in the top 2. I feel like guaranteed.
Probably. I think guarantee is strong. I don't know if you can't say that for sure. I'd say I'd love to know the odds. Odds of them getting a top 2 pick. What do you think it is? 50-50?
Oh, it's minus 200.
Stop. They're already number 2. All right, let's go.
I thought you said they didn't get jumped by the Cardinals.
Well, once Arizona lost, they did. Now, they played an extra game, so that's part of it.
Oh.
Because Carolina's had their bye week. They're 1-6. Cardinals are 1-7. Jeff says, what has the coaching staff shown they deserve their own QB? I don't disagree with the issue. First thing, hire Rivera as DC. I mean, sure on Rivera as DC. I don't have a strong opinion there. Yeah, this coaching staff doesn't deserve a new QB. Like, if you're drafting a new QB, it needs to be with the new coaching staff. Period. End of story. So, and I think Rolly would agree with that for sure. Like, he does not think this coaching staff should get their choice at a quarterback.
That's actually how this whole thing started.
Yeah.
They said that they were talking about something about Getsy can't call plays next year. And I said that I think it will be clean slate, new quarterback, new OC, no DC, and new head coach. The question is, are they keeping Posey or not? And it spiraled from there.
And I think that's probably a fair take, even if that's not what you want. Like, if you're firing the coaching staff, you're probably switching quarterbacks too. I'm not saying I'm rooting for that, but that just is probably what's going to happen. How are we seeing old Cam Newton highlights?
Chase Young, maybe.
Chase Young. Let's show a highlight from 3 years ago. Daily basis, I don't think Justin Fields got a fair shake in Chicago, but a lot of QBs don't reach their potential. Best thing for him and the Bears would be to trade him. I think there's truth in this too. Like, fit is everything. I don't think it's been a good fit up to this point. The old regime drafted him. They got canned after a year. New regime wanted to rebuild. They hired an offensive coordinator that probably doesn't fit his skill set. Like, it never aligned. It never aligned, and that's unfortunate because I stand by it. I think if Fields gets a fair shake somewhere else with the coordinator that will embrace his skill set completely, he will have success. That's what I believe. Mick Tortuoso, let Rolly talk. Y'all think you always right. Hey, that's also true too. Hey, we all have different opinions. It's all good. You can disagree sometimes. No worries. Captain Salty, this Rolly's burner. Glad Rolly said just legs hasn't proven anything. I mean, he hasn't proved a ton, especially in wins and losses. Now, I think something he has proved is he's arguably the best running quarterback in the NFL. He throws a good deep ball. Beyond that, though, Been very inconsistent.
I told them to show me something Justin Fields has shown us as fans, so that he is a franchise quarterback other than scrambling, and it quickly became quiet in the chat.
Yeah, well, I think he has an upper tier deep ball. I'll go that far. I think he's a top half of the league quarterback as a vertical passer, but you still got to do all the other stuff. You got to process quick. You got to have quicker footwork. His drop is way too slow, so it's inconsistent, man. It's inconsistent. JR Production, it could be worse, and we could have Matt Patricia as head coach. Hashtag W Roley. Yeah, Matt Patricia's a joke. He makes Flus look competent, and I'm not sure Flus is competent.
He makes Getsy look like
a genius.
Andy Reid.
Alan Watson, go ahead and yell, everyone, but I would trade down with one or both ones, draft line first and second, then draft someone like Ewers in the second. I mean, you could do the in-between thing. I just don't think that's likely. Like, I've mentioned this hypothetical. You could go the Jalen Hurts route where you have Carson Wentz, but he's coming off a bad year. Draft Jalen Hurts in the second. I think the difference there, though, is Wentz had at least been somewhat established at that point. Like, there were injury concerns, and he didn't play that good the year they took Hurts. But Fields has not put together a complete season. And on top of all this, the part we're leaving out of this, and again, I like Justin Fields a lot. I want him to be the guy here. He's been injured all 3 seasons. He's missed time in all 3 years. So, and we know with his playing style, he's going to be susceptible to hits. So, something to consider. One way with the dollar. Appreciate it. Maz Tanker. I thought it said Mavs Tanker. What's the 2025 QB class like? If good, draft down. Well, I think Shedeur Sanders will be in that draft. The question is, will any of these other guys? Will J.J. McCarthy go back to Michigan? I got to think with everything going on there, he's going to come out. Will Quinn Ewers go back to Texas? I think he's going to come out. But I think Sanders will be in that draft. Some people like Drew Aller. He's been really bad the last couple of weeks for Penn State. But, yeah, it's hard to know. It's hard to know. I think Sanders will be the top QB in that draft, and I like him. But, again, there's no guarantee you're going to be picking that high in that draft.
Underrated part of this Chase Young trade to the Niners, by the way, was for a third-round pick. Kind of limits or hinders the chance that, to me, Jaylon Johnson is going to be traded to the 49ers.
Just based on value?
Just because of team. Like, are they really willing to offer
takes the Niners
a
out.
second and a third today?
Yeah. You would think that's unlikely.
I think they prioritize pass rush over a corner.
Which I kind of thought they should do. Their D-line's kind of been underwhelming this year, to be honest. So, all right. I'll trade Roley for Cody Parkey. No, you won't.
Shout out Andrew
Parkey
in the
stinks.
chat. That's a real one right there.
Cody Parkey stinks.
Well, listen.
Don't turn on Roley because he has a different
Harrison,
opinion.
Them saying they'll trade Roley for Cody Parkey, that makes sense to me because
that's an upgrade.
No. It tells me a lot of what I've been going back and forth with here. Clearly, nothing there. Trade me for Cody Parkey.
Cody Parkey stinks. Larry with the 5. I am going to take these shots. I think it's like 12. I did the math. That's going to be brutal. Chicago ain't for everybody. I guess we go a beer bong race, too.
We do, yeah. Shout out Garrett.
I'll trade Roley for Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon.
He's horrible. Garrett with the 10. Before Fields got hurt, Fields and Mahomes' stats were almost identical. One is considered a bust. The other is an MVP candidate this year. Fields is a victim of circumstance. I do think he is to an extent. But, guys, you can't look at stats through 5 games in a season and be like, they're comparable to Patrick Mahomes. Like, guys, let's not – you can't do it that way. Like, if you want to go stat heavy, the year before, Justin Fields threw for 2,200 yards. Like, it's been this is the Justin Fields story. It's up, it's down. It's up, it's down. It's up, it's down. It's up, it's down. His best football is franchise quarterback stuff. It really is. But his bad football is backup quarterback stuff. So it's tough, man. It's tough. It's a tough evaluation. Chris Ayers, great work. Harry and Roley, Harrison, you are Ryan Poles. Do you execute the 5th-year option on Fields based on what you've seen? Take Rolly's keys, though. This is a good question. I got to see how the rest of this year goes. I have a theory they've already decided. Here's what I'll say. I have a theory that they have already made the decision on Fields. He's not their guy. If I'm correct in that theory, I think they'll trade him early in the offseason, and the team trading for him will decide on whether or not to exercise the fifth-year option. If that theory is correct. Now, if it's not and they keep him and he's on the roster, I don't know what they'll do. I think it'll depend on how the rest of the year goes. If he's very up and down, then they probably would not pick it up. If he shows sustainable performances, let's say he plays the final 8 weeks. He's not playing this week. Let's say he plays against Carolina, plays the rest of the season. Let's say he has 6 out of 8 good games. Might be enough to pick up the fifth-year option. I don't know if it's enough to guarantee him being the starter, but two different questions there. Owen Spencer, first off, please remember, Getsy was never an OC, never a play caller. He was a passing coordinator for Aaron Rodgers. He stole from Green Bay. Yeah, I mean, look, first-time play caller. He's been around offenses built for Aaron Rodgers. Good coaches tailor to their players' skill sets, and I don't think Getsy, at least consistently, has done that. At times, we have seen it, but it's like we see Fields have a good game, and then the next week you go back to a plan that doesn't make sense, which is what we saw against Minnesota, where they were asking him to live in the pocket. They stopped moving the pocket. They stopped doing things. So it's weird. It's very, very weird. Harry says, Ryan Poles could have got Chase Young too. Was his first offer the second-round pick? If so, this move looks worse on his part. I don't know the second part of that. Like, was his first? Like, did he offer a second for Chase Young? I'm thinking they just wanted Sweat. They didn't want to mess with the medicals with Chase Young. Had the serious knee injury. I don't know that to be the case for sure, but yeah, I mean, look, if Chase Young hits a third round for him, that's a steal. That's a steal. Mohawk, trade your first for 49ers GM, hire Jim Harbaugh for head coach, bring back Vic Fangio. Well, he's the Dolphins DC, so unless he gets fired, that's not a upward job in the way coaching hiring goes. Unless the Dolphins just cut him loose from his contract, you can't hire a coach from a different staff to the same position unless Miami agreed to it, which they don't have to. And I'm not trading a first-round pick to hire a general manager. That's not happening. Brendan Henderson, Young is a rental. 49ers can't extend him. A fail. Why can't they extend him? Are you saying just because their salary cap situation? I mean, they can figure out how to structure an extension. Plus, I want to say Eric Armstead can get cut soon, which would free up some money. But, yeah, we'll see how that plays out in San Francisco. Larry with the 10. Roley is right. Fields takes too long to go through his progression. Stairs is his primary receiver, yada, yada. By the time he looks off the secondary, checks down, both are covered. Watch the tape. I will say this, though. He's actually done a pretty good job this year of getting back to the check down. But, yeah, he processes too slow. I don't think there's any doubt. I think his drop back is too slow. QB experts have, broken that down where it's he's losing, half a second per play because his drop is too slow. If he sped that up, that could make a big difference. But that kind of gets back to coaching for me. How is that not more of an emphasis? Dude, you got to drop back with more urgency. But I don't know. Maybe his feet just aren't moving quick enough. I'm not sure. Sam Lachtaro, Roley's a first-rounder. I'd sign him long-term before trading him. There you go, Lachtaro. Roley, weigh in on Lochte here.
Lochte's the GOAT. I mean, he's always going to have my back. I appreciate that. I know Lachtaro as a Fields guy, so it's nice to have him understand where I'm coming from.
You could be a Fields guy and still agree to disagree with Roley. Maz Tanker, start pouring some of these. He says, Jack Sanborn to the Atlanta Mermaids for a third. You're not getting a third for Jack Sanborn.
Yeah, Atlantis Mermaids.
Atlantis. Jay Bills.
Be a fun expansion team.
Says, my man Roley is worth multiple first minimum. See, they got your back.
The ones who know ball.
All right, I did 2 out of 12 shots. I'm just going to, straight rip here. So, 10-second rip.
Captain Salty said, I triggered the Boston fanboys. Seems like I definitely pinched a nerve somewhere. Emiliano says, Poles really traded for the lesser player for a higher pick, LMAO. I'm done talking about medical.
Ugh,
This is football.
that was brutal.
Sweat could tear an ACL on Sunday. I'll say this. I mean, listen, obviously Young was the second overall pick, but like Montez Sweat is the better football player.
He's better overall. He's been much more durable. Chase Young, in 2 seasons, has played like half of total games or something like that.
I like the move. I would have rather traded for Sweat than Young.
Yeah, it's a safer move. Sure, you give up a second versus a third, but I'll put it this way.
I think the round difference is worth it, though, Harry. I do. I seriously do.
I think having 2 firsts gives you insurance there, and yeah. I'm with you. Montez Sweat for a second. Well, we're an hour and 5. I think with Chase Young getting moved, Rolly, Jaylon Johnson's like the last big name. What happens with Jaylon Johnson? Josh Uche is another name to monitor. It's been an edge day. Does Uche get moved?
It's been a quiet day.
I mean, it's been quiet. Commanders shipped out 2 guys.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's been quiet.
Yeah. I mean, some of the trades happened before today. But we'll see what happens in the next hour and 5 minutes.
I will say this. Jaylon Johnson, to me, would be down to 2 teams. Maybe the Bills and maybe the Steelers. Are you going back to the Steelers well?
Dude.
I've
been clear. I don't want to trade him.
I really hope if they do trade Johnson, it's not to the Buffalo Bills. Because
see, I don't love any of those teams that were interested. Pittsburgh's the one where they may not be picking super late.
They'll be picking in the mids.
But they'll be in the mids at least.
They'll be like pick 46.
Like, if you trade them to Buffalo, it might be like the 60th pick if it's a second rounder. Like, that's not doing it.
And you can't help out the Bills. You can't help out the Bills.
Not for your sake.
I hate the Bills.
What would you guys do with Jaylon? P for pay him, T for trade him. What would you guys do with Jaylon Johnson? Radness says pay. Jake says trade. Brand Knapp says trade. Cade says pay. Dustin says pay. Undrafted says trade. Derek says pay. So does D Cords, Posey, Terry, Just. Carlos says pay him. I would too. Diana Rossini, by the way, Rolly, says that Washington ownership had a strong hand in trading Young and Sweat. So that tells me the owner's resetting. He's going to fire Rivera, hire his own coach.
Well, they've also never in their history in the common draft era, which I don't really know when that begins, but this has been a tweet. The Commanders have never, or Washington, I should say, since they've gone severe name changes, have never had 5 picks in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. As things currently stand, they do. 2 thirds, 2 seconds, and their first.
Build around Sam Howell.
Possible.
Draft Drake May. Shane wants to pay him.
Honestly, don't know. Commanders are such an odd spot. It's like, what do they really need? Offensive line back.
Well, they need defense now. The defense already was underperforming, and
they really missed on that Emmanuel Forbes pick, man.
Dude, they took him over
Christian Gonzalez and Deontay
Gonzo
Banks.
and Banks, who have both been good. I know Gonzo got hurt, but still.
Gonzo was so good in those first 3 weeks, though.
Spirit of 76 says, do they cut someone to make room for Sweat? Yeah, someone will get cut, or they'll put someone on IR or something.
That trade's not official yet, right?
I haven't seen the Bears tweet, but
because I've seen some trades already been made official, so I'm just curious. Maybe they're waiting to decide who they're going to cut.
Yeah, the Bears haven't tweeted it yet, but yeah, I mean, they'll cut somebody.
Probably is going to be Dom Robb, honestly.
They might cut Dom Robb.
After being a healthy and active.
They could cut Dom Robb. They could cut Greg Stroman, since he's been back on the bench with Kyler Gordon back. Someone like that. Be someone on the end of the roster. Jay Bills, show love to Harrison too. Favorite Bears guy. Appreciate that, Jay Bills. Rolly and I feel the love.
Just for Jay Bills.
Chicago says, I'll trade Rolly. Come on, man. Leave Rolly out of Dwight Howard's life. Alex Ammerling, Sweat has as many sacks as we do as a team. Well, the Bears have 10 sacks. Sweat has 6.5. But for D linemen, you might be right. He might have more. So it's a major upgrade.
Have the Bears really had that many sacks from linebackers and corners?
Well, I know T.J. Edwards has had a couple. Let's just pull up the team stats here. You look, filter by sacks here. T.J. Edwards, Yannick Ngakoue each have 2. DeMarcus Walker has 1.5. Rasheem Green has 1. Greg Stroman has 1. Justin Jones has 1. Dom Robb, Zach Pickens, and Jaquan Brisker each have a half. So Brisker's half, Stroman's 1 is 1.5. Edwards is 2, makes it 3.5. So they have the same amount. Sweat has 6.5. The Bears D-line has 6.5.
Another thing of Sweat too, like I know you talked about Harrison, it like will create more chances for
Ngakoue. Maybe even a guy like Trevon Dexter on the interior if he gets some isolations. I'll say this: Justin Jones the last couple weeks has played a lot.
He's played
better.
really good.
He's played pretty good the last few weeks. Yeah, who knows? Here's our Super Chat menu. We are under an hour away from the NFL trade deadline. If you send in a first-time Super Chat like our guy Kai Kennedy just did, we'll get him on screen in a second. I'll do 5 jumping jacks, $10 shots, $50 beer bong race, which Rolly and I will do in a minute, and then $100 Super Chat gets you into the Bears Helmet Hall of Fame. Also, we're less than $500 away from 1,000, which equals a beer boot. So if y'all want me to do a beer boot, we get to 1,000, we'll make it happen. And we are doing one of our 50-50 raffle Venmo races, $10 to buy in. I think we have just 4 entries so far. So the winner would just get 20. So the more that join, the bigger the pot gets. We've got, Donovan Peoples-Jones to the Lions.
Oh, I didn't see that. When did that happen?
Just happened.
That's a fun trade.
Has Peoples-Jones not done anything this year?
No.
He was pretty good last year.
He's been nowhere.
Interesting. At HGram NFL, QR code. Rolly will get the link in the live chat. The way it works is the bigger the pot gets, the winner gets half the pot. So right now the pot's 40, so the winner would get $20. $10 to enter. We got Ben Z, Nathaniel, Steven, and Keenan already in there. So at HGram NFL to hop into the mix. So there you go. Adam Schefter with a note on Chase Young. If the 49ers lose him in free agency, they could potentially recoup a third-round comp pick. So they're I think the Niners are kind of viewing this as a rental, like a trial, see how it goes, see if the medical checks out, and then if they lose him. So maybe the Bears could still sign him in free agency.
Chasey boy.
Bring Chase and Sweat to Chicago. So definitely interesting. At HGram NFL on Venmo, we got Daniel in there. Is this our guy? Sealand. You can always count on Sealand to have a good time.
You know, Sealand is very secretive. He's always watching.
You only see him in the chat when it's a boom situation. Yes, Lactara. Hashtag Team Rolly, he says.
Lactara, man. There's never a doubt with that guy.
He's find you someone who loves you as much as Lactara loves Rolly.
More Sam Lactara, if you understand this reference, you're a real one. More consistent than a few good men
on a rainy Sunday. If you know who says that on Twitter a lot, Lochte, you might have Rolly's heart at that point.
I mean,
we'll give you a hint.
College basketball season.
We're getting close, yes.
Next Monday.
It's college basketball season.
Next Monday. A week from tomorrow, FAU is going to lose to Loyola Chicago.
You calling that upset?
Absolutely.
Is Sister Jean going to strike one more
time?
Number
10 FAU is getting bit in the ankle by Sister
By the way,
Jean and the
I don't want to
Ramblers.
be morbid, How old is Sister Jean?
This is her last ride.
They're going to do a documentary.
This is her last
One
ride.
last ride.
This is her last ride.
Are they going to make a tournament push?
The Ramblers might win it all.
I got to look this up. Sister Jean age.
They are going to make.
She's 104.
You could actually book it.
Dude, she's got to be one of the 20 oldest people alive.
See, here's my prediction. If you're an
That
A10
is
basketball
unreal.
head like myself, Dayton's going to get the 1 seed in the A10 tournament. Bonaventure's going to get the 2. Loyola's going to get the 3. But Loyola Chicago, who is going into the A10 tournament, is going to be first 4 out. They end up becoming a bid stealer, winning the A10 tournament, and then one of Bonaventure and Dayton barely gets put out and is a 1 seed in the NIT.
Oh, Laktara. So technically, he didn't get who says that,
But he knows who
he
Mick
knows
Cronin
who they're
is.
talking about.
All
Mick Cronin, come on now. So it's John Rothstein who does all the analogies with coaches and players.
So
I just can't wait for Bama's opener to see if he brings back Nate Oates, my cousin Vinny.
Speaking of Bama and John Rothstein, funny fact, I'm actually doing a college basketball fantasy league this year.
You got any open spots?
I don't know. I'll have to check. The draft is tonight, so it
Aw,
might not
damn.
be. But this website is so janky. I don't know how to change my team name, but my team name, I want it to be
My cousin Vinny.
41.
41.
period.
That's one of the
what I want.
greatest tweets of
That
all
is
time.
I will never forget where I was when he sent that tweet and
Dude,
how
we were literally
excited I did.
We were texting in the group chat like, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? He typed 41.
Brandon Miller, game of the year after unfortunate circumstances on the road against South Carolina. He just drops 41, period.
I
Unbelievable
can't believe you
tweet,
tweeted
man.
that out.
This is an unbelievable tweet.
Thanks to all the new Venmo entries. Let's talk about Prize Picks. Speaking of which, you can do Prize Picks entries for college basketball or any other sport for the most part. I think they even have some like
They have a little college hoop
they
action.
have some obscure sports on there too. That's what makes it so much fun. Is that Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app out there because you're not playing against other players. You're not playing against pros or sharks. It's just more or less stat projections, 2 to 6 player entries. Like I've got a pick 3 here. DJ more or less on the receiving yards this week. I like Cole Kmet's more, and then Alvin Kamara more on the receiving yards as well. 10 to win $50. If you do a 2-player entry, you win 3 times your money. If you do a 6-player entry, up to 25 times your money. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100, folks. You are not going to regret it. You're going to have a ton of fun with daily fantasy sports from Prize Picks. That link is in the live chat of this video. Prize Picks, go check them out. All right, Kai Kennedy with the first-time super chat. 2,
By the way, Harrison,
3, 4,
someone in the chat
5.
said my Bears Now fantasy football team stinks, which admittedly it's not great.
Did you win this week?
Yeah, but here's where I was going to get to. I won this week, Harrison. Dude, I was down by about 10, 15 points going into Monday Night Football. My opponent had Devontae Adams.
Who did nothing?
I had Jahmyr Gibbs. So you think I would lose?
What were the
50
percentage? What did it give you? Like
It gave
a
me
4?
like a 10% chance.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm down double digits against Devontae Adams, and all I have is the inconsistent Jahmyr Gibbs. And then, hindsight, Gibbs drops a 30-piece tender. Devontae Adams has 1 catch. I end up winning by 20. It's an absolute domination.
Wow. That's incredible.
It was. I mean, I'm
the Raiders are absolutely horrific.
I'm 2-6, but I was able to get a pretty motivational win. Maybe I go on a run here. Never know. You never know.
Okay. Chicago polls don't care if you ain't. He ain't. If you get 5
He's
interceptions.
talking about Jaylon Johnson here.
Why not? Give me a reason. Brendan Henderson, Young and Bosa reunited. Oh, that's a good point. Chase Young and Nick Bosa. Fields the 49ers next. I don't think so. Oh! From Sealand. Boom! Hashtag Team Rolly, hashtag Team HG, hashtag Bears Chat for life. Montez Sweat pick up an A-. Get the booms in the chat. Sealand. He's always ready to drop a bomb, Rolly.
You know what? In my eyes, there's no one better than Sealand in the business. Bears Now legend. You might be able to say he is the Bears Now GOAT. Shout out to Sealand. We love a little Sealand in the chat. And this actually inspires a good question, Harrison. As he says, $100. So you're on the Bears Now Hall of Fame. Team Rolly, Team HD. Love that. Thank you.
By the way,
Hashtag Bears for Chat
I just
for life.
tweeted out a poll. Which trade would you have preferred? Sweat for a second, Chase Young for a third? Curious to see what people think.
But he said Montez Sweat pick up an A-. I'm curious to see what everyone else thinks.
Grade
the
the trade.
1100 in the building. We know what Sealand thinks. He grades it an A-. But how about you guys? Grade the Montez Sweat trade A, B, C, D, or F. It was actually basically the first trade of the day, I believe. In the NFL.
Might have been today.
The NBA beat him to it with a 2 a.m. James Harden trade.
Classic NBA.
It's always the Clippers. They always deal it late at night. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden.
Oh man, get some shout outs, Roy. I'm putting a poll on the stream here.
Shout out to Carlos, Ruben, Matthew, Computer, Chat, Lee, Lala, John, Jesse, Scott, Ryan, Decorda, Jay Bills, McTorso. If I said that right. Ding Chavez, Dylan, Logan, Devin, Clark Bar, JD's, Donald, Jay Zilla, EPC, J1, another Josh, Davian, Steven, SSS, Matthew, Alejandro.
Steven.
Most of the people are saying B
A's
or
and
A's.
B's.
Nobody really diving into that C range. We got Alejandro saying F.
By the way, I don't know if this Austin F.
Wasim! What's good, my guy? Changed
This
profile picture, too. Is that a galaxy? What's up, Wasim?
Seen a tweet from a Bears blogger saying the Eagles are aggressively pursuing Jaylon Johnson.
Oh, boy. Even if it's the Eagles, if it's not a first, it's going to be like pick 60.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Would you trade him for a first, but you also have to send like a third?
So JJ and a third? No.
I don't think I am either.
Probably not.
I don't think I am
It
either.
would have to be Jaylon for a first straight up.
Would you do it for 2 seconds?
Are they both this year or one next year?
Probably one each. Because not many teams probably have 2 this year.
Probably going no.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for a first and a first only.
Yeah. He's a really good player at a really important position, man. And if you trade him, like, you need a corner.
Yeah, you trade him, position of need.
Unless
on draft
Terrell
night.
Smith and Tyreek Stevenson just ball out the rest of the year. But, Terrell Smith has mono. We don't even know when he's playing again. Oh, man. Isaac Garcia. We'll catch him on Super Chats, then Rolly and I can do this beer bong race. And by the way, with Sealand's big Super Chat, we're just over 300 away from 1,000.
Which is a boot.
Which is a beer boot. What would your thoughts be if the Bears send Jaylon Johnson to Buffalo for Damar Hamlin and a mid-round pick? I mean, look, the Damar Hamlin story is an incredible one. But, like, if you traded him straight up to a team, what's like a 7th-round pick? I mean, he's a backup safety.
I mean,
he started 13 games last year, but
that's
like
because of injuries.
He was their third safety. They had some injuries. Obviously, he came back from this life-altering event. It's a miracle he's even in the NFL still. Kudos to him for having the courage to even do that. But, like, I don't think he actually adds anything there in terms of value, what trade compensation would be.
I'm actually not sure if he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year anymore.
Who would even be in the mix? I'm trying to think. Are there any quarterbacks?
I'll get back to you. But my point is, like, he hasn't really played though. Like he's been a healthy and active.
The thought, what he was active
I think he was active for 1 week.
The thought people had was if he plays a snap, he wins it because I mean the guy went into cardiac arrest. But I I don't know how voters will vote. But the point is, in terms of trade comp, the D. Hamlin story aside, he's not actually adding to the trade. Like, he barely made Buffalo's roster this year. Sangray Kim, I prefer Chase Young for 3 than Sweat for a 2. Fire Ryan Pohl. So I put the poll question up. Which trade would you have preferred? Sweat for a 2nd or Young for a 3rd? Look, there's pros and cons, right? Like, if I know Chase Young has a clean bill of health, I'd probably say Young. But he's missed about half the games in his career, and that knee is a major question mark. And I got to think, too, Rolly, if Washington's shipping him out for a 3rd after already trading Sweat, like, they weren't that high on keeping him long term.
Yeah.
Like, to just ship him out for a 3rd? Like, I think that maybe they may not like his long-term diagnosis with that injury history. So it makes sense for the Niners to trade a 3rd for him, because even if you don't keep him long-term, like, that's not going to make or break you, a 3rd-round pick.
No, yeah. Yeah, and listen, they used a 3rd-round pick on a horrific kicker last year. So
Yeah, that was yikes. Nate the Great, are you a Ted Lasso fan? Many fans want to trade the 1st overall pick and get Panthers-like package, build the team with talent, and in 25 trade up or just pick a QB. So he's saying, to the discussion earlier, okay, sure, but again, where are you picking in 25? What if the 25 QB class isn't good? Like, the point is, Nate, is like, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, but Rolly's point is that if you're not sold on Justin Fields heading into year 4 and you have the number 1 or number 2 overall pick, you may not get this chance again. You've had 2 drafts in a row where you've had the number 1 pick and potentially a top 2 pick again. That's pretty rare for a GM. Like, if Poles passes, he may never draft a quarterback, right? Like, he may not get a chance to. So I think that's mostly the point he's trying to make. Zach, let's see those jumping jacks bear down. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. There you go. There's 5. Under 45 minutes to go. By the way, for any college football fans, quick plug here. I'll be on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel tonight for the first college football playoff rankings. See how everything falls. I actually think it's going to be pretty interesting to see who they rank number 1. Because Georgia and Michigan look like the best 2 teams, but they've also played 0. Neither is going to have a ranked win. So do you put Ohio State 1?
no chance Ohio State's won.
I actually think there's a really good chance. They have a win at Notre Dame, and they hammered Penn State.
Eye test tells me Ohio State stinks.
I get that, but they don't do it just on eye test. And quite frankly, 12 random athletic directors should not do it based solely on eye test. They don't know ball enough, in my opinion. If I had to guess, someone says Florida State at 1. They've had a weird season. Like the first couple weeks they looked awesome. Then they stunk for a couple weeks, and then the last few weeks they've looked really good again. They do have one of the better wins against LSU. This is just a gut feeling. I think Ohio State's 1, Georgia's 2, Michigan is 3, Florida State is 4, and Washington is 5 among the Power 5 unbeatens. That's how I think it goes. Just a gut feeling.
Ohio State's going to get hammered by
I don't
Michigan.
think they're the best team in the country. I just think that's how they'll be ranked tonight.
To me, Ohio State-Michigan is going to go exactly like last year.
Well, the last 2 years, really. Michigan's hammered them 2 years in a row.
It's going to be a hammer, dude.
Especially with all that cheating they're doing up there.
It's going to be Harbaugh's swan song.
Just kidding. he might have 10 scouts at Ohio State's next 3 games. Just go all in. Just wear what he's been
Listen, if you're
doing.
going to get dinged, don't get dinged for the little things. Go all in.
Embrace it. Embrace the villain. So Brad Biggs replied to a tweet asking about, why would you trade a 2nd for Montez Sweat when you could have gotten Chase Young for a 3rd? Biggs says because there's questions about Chase Young's right knee, who has suffered a torn ACL and ruptured patellar tendon, and Sweat has been a more consistent player throughout his career. I think those are legitimate points. If Chase Young had a clean bill of health, you would rather trade a third for him, but you also wouldn't get him for a third if you had a clean bill of health. So, we'll see. Yeah. Then he effed up his knee. Harrison, what's the college channel called? It's just our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. It's just Chat Sports. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. I'll be live over there at 5:45 or so, 5:30. So it's not a third, it's a late third. Yeah, but like it's not like the Bears can be like, we'll offer a late third. They can't control where they're they can control where they're gonna pick. They can win more games, but what's happening? Yeah. What's the plan if they don't do anything? Just kind of like they didn't make a move, reaction. You good? Spillage? Uh-oh. Rolly is someone makes a good point too. He didn't play the whole game. Yeah, Montez Sweat's a 3-down player. Chase Young is not always that. Chase Young doesn't play the run as well. I like Chase Young. I would have considered doing that. I do think Sweat's more consistent, though. Look, time will tell. Time will tell. What did you make of this Ezra Cleveland trade? I didn't hear the Jags. Got to get Sealand's sticker here. Mr. Sealand himself, an absolute legend. Someone says number 33 is mid. Jaylon Johnson is not mid, dude. He's never been mid. He's been good all 4 years of his career. And this year he's having the best year of his career. Oh, man. Oh, a 20 from Dustin. That gets us right at $700, so we're $300 away from a beer boot. Can we get there? Can we get there? Oh, my gosh. Tim Kawakami says 49ers are closing in on another trade. Don't know who, but they're closing in. Is it going to be Jaylon Johnson? Yes, they do. Oh boy, is this the dagger? Oh man. What is going? Trade Fields for Justin Jefferson straight up. Yes. Sure. Yes. Oh man. Rolly's going to be back. Then we're going to beer bong race. We got 40 minutes until the trade deadline. Every $5 while Rolly is gone is a shot for Rolly. Make Rolly drink. Rolly just stepped out. Make Rolly drink. Someone says water bong race. I mean, if Happy Dads are water, then sure. They're alcohol. They're just easier to drink. I mean, he says crack it on air. See? It is closed. There you go. Got a full pack of them in here. Full pack of them in here. Oh, we hit 600 likes earlier. That's a shot. Some guy in the chat said, crack those beers on air. That's a water race. So I literally showed the box and cracked a new one right here. The accusations, man. It's a cold world out there, man. Matthew says Jaylon Johnson for a second to the Eagles. I haven't seen anything, so. Ed Warder. That's just a bad look. It's a bad look. The World Series can take over in 6 hours, 5 hours, whatever.
Big sports day, not Equinox because no NFL game.
There was last night, though, right?
Only one of the year.
What about Thursday? No World Series game? Tragic. All right. Here we go. Rolly's going to count down this time. H for Harrison, R for Rolly. You ready? Someone says trade Eddie Jackson. I'd be open to it. I don't think you'd get much, but. All right, here we go.
Oh, I'm counting down?
Jesus. He's like, oh, I'm counting down. Yes, I literally said that. Oh, my gosh.
Roll the game. All right, here's what. 3, 2, 1, go.
Not my best. Oh, stop. When you count down, the other person always gets a head start. Oh, Chris Ayers says false start on Harrison. All right. Clearly I need it because I'm not as fast as Rolly.
You also, if you ever seen The Dictator, where he's running the race, and he goes 3, 2, 1, and then shoots the gun, and then just like starts running by himself.
I don't know if I ever watched that. I'm trying to remember. People are falling for a Sperm Center tweet. Sperm Center says the Eagles are trading a 4th for Jaylon Johnson. That's a fake account. It says Sperm Center. Good grief.
Excuse me.
Good grief.
Get a grip, everyone.
Alex says y'all are weak for fake drinking booze.
Yes.
Like, what do I have to do to show you? Look at this. See the bottom? Can they see it says 5% alcohol at the bottom? Is it clear, Rolly, on the screen?
I don't know.
It's right there. Have you never heard of a Happy Dad? Yeah, we're not doing butter Coors Light or something because they're too heavy. The amount of chugging we do. Y'all are crazy, man. Alexander with the super chat. He says, can we get to Alex here?
Yeah, sorry. Seeing a lot of I'm getting got by the chat right now, man.
Don't fall for the chat trades.
They keep on saying different trades, and I'm like,
Don't fall
one
for
of
the
these got to be real. Like,
No.
Why would someone in the chat make up Ezekiel Elliott to the Browns? Why would someone make that up?
Because they know you're a Pats fan.
I get any Bears trades like in there is probably fake because we would have seen it first. But a non-Bears trade, you got me.
By the way, Edgar with a great point said, Harrison, you and Roy should have dressed as Bears for today's live. We kind of dropped the ball on Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Tough look.
McTortoso absolutely got me.
Don't let these guys kill you. So I'm not letting them kill me. It's just like, come on, man. Not a content we're doing. Alex says, I missed what you said about Young for a third. What are your thoughts? I think it's a calculated move for San Francisco. If I knew Chase Young had a clean bill of health and had no concerns about his future, that's a steal. But if there weren't those concerns, I don't think that Commanders would have traded him for a third. So I understand why the Bears went with even if it's paying a little bit more for Montez Sweat, why they did that, because he's durable. He's played at a high level for 5 years. He's still only 27. And he's a better all-around player, too. I think Chase Young went number 2 overall. People are like, oh, Chase Young. I like Chase Young. He's a talented pass rusher, but he doesn't play the run that well, and he's missed a lot of time, and he has major knee injuries, a torn ACL and a torn patellar tendon. Those are not just minor injuries, especially the patellar tendon. So keep that in mind. Dustin Hamby, that's a shot for Rolly and I. Should have taken both Sweat, Young and Sweat. Dexter, and if Pickens pans out on your defense is set, Trade down, draft MHJ, Olu, or Bowers, get a second back, pay Jaylon Johnson. Everyone complains about interceptions. He doesn't get targeted. LMAO, pay the man. It's a great point. They just don't throw at him very much. The one time I can remember the Chargers targeting him, he had a PBU in the end zone on Quentin Johnston. So, doesn't get thrown out much, man. Cheers. Rolly's going to rip a shot in a minute as well. Oh, I got to take another one for this one. Mike G, do you think Montez starts this week? I think so. Like, who do you have? Like, even if he knows just a few of the calls, get him out there. D-line needs help right away. Right away. Catherine with a super sticker. Appreciate that. No Palencia with the 5. Saying, fellas, Sweat and Yannick is solid, but should we replace Billings? Don't trade Jaylon Johnson. Lastly, who would you guys take for next year's first 2 picks? Who would I draft? Let's just say in the crazy hypothetical world, you're picking 1 and 2. I'm probably not messing around. I'm probably just picking whichever QB I like better and going Marvin Harrison. Now, you could trade down from 2, get more capital, take Olu, Joe Alt, etc., but I'm all in on Marvin Harrison in Chicago. You pair him with DJ Moore, like, you're set, man. You're set at receiver. I'd bring Billings back on another 1-year deal. I think he's been pretty solid this year, honestly. I don't think he's a long-term solution, but I think he, at minimum, is a rotation guy, and even as a starter again next year, he's actually been pretty good. Schitzler, I don't know if I'm saying that right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. You want to hop on and take a shot?
Yeah.
Rolly shots. Zane Gray, the $5 super chat. Bayless Jones got traded to the XFL for an 8th round pick. That's pretty funny.
Jesus, I'm dropping everything, dude.
Yeah, Rolly's fumbling the shot glass over there. That is a tough look for the kid. Tough look for the kid. Appreciate it, Zane Gray. We'll remind you, as we got 30 minutes to go, of our Venmo 50-50 raffles. If anybody's interested in entering, we'll recap some of the trades, some of the news here in a second. But $20 at HGram NFL. QR code is right there. The pot is currently up to... the winner would win $40 right now. Winner would win $40. $10 to enter at HGram NFL. At HGram NFL. The more we get in there, the bigger the pot gets. So we'll do a Greyhound race at the end of the stream to see who wins with our animated raffle races. Nathan says Jaylon Johnson to the 49ers potentially. Yeah, I mean, Tim Kawakami says that the Niners are working on another trade, so we'll see. We shall see. Nicholas Moriano says, just do it already.
Oh, Jaylon Johnson is staying in Chicago.
Really?
According to Ian Rappaport.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Jaylon Johnson is not getting traded according to Ian Rappaport. I guess I should say he's expected to stay, so barring a last-minute trade offer, Jaylon Johnson is staying with the Bears. Type 33 in the chat. Type 33 in the chat. Jordan Schultz also says the Bears are not planning on trading Jaylon Johnson. Let's go. Let's go. Yes. Yes. Let's go. Thank God. Thank God. Let's get the Venmo raffle race going. Let's get partying. At HGram NFL on Venmo if you want to enter. $10. The Bills are trading for Rasul Douglas. So that must have been their backup plan. Let's go. Let's effing go.
Fucking scumbag did this.
What?
Someone moved into Studio E.
Infinite says 33. Brady says 33. Carlos, nonchalant, saying 33. Let's freaking go. Let's freaking go. Love it. Love it. Austin says 33. Ken and Keenan say 33. Thank God, man. Now figure out a contract. Doesn't have to be today. Doesn't have to be this week, but keep Jaylon Johnson in Chicago. Maddie, Ken, Andrew, Kenny, Alexander, Michael, Travis, Ken McKenzie, Charlie. Do I have a son? I do have a son. My son turns 7 months old in a couple weeks.
Kind of wish they didn't have this come out 30 minutes before, so
Yeah.
keep this intrigue going. But
I think at the end of the let the deadline come and pass. I think we'll probably do another cut just on him not getting traded, and then we can just throw Sweat, almost just flip the last one. You know what I'm saying?
all right.
Curious to see how that would do. Could explore contract. Let's go. Let's go. Ian Rappaport. Jaylon Johnson expected to stay in Chicago. That's big, man. Doesn't guarantee he's going to be here long term, but you got the franchise tag. You got options. You got time. Maybe Jaylon will be excited to get Montez Sweat in the building, play with a guy like that. So, someone in the chat, I'd pay Jaylon $10 million tops. Come on, man. Let's be real. Let's be real. This is big, fellas. This is big. Let's go. It says expected. Yeah, Jordan Schultz also says he's not trading him. That's huge. That's huge. Let's go. And now Sweat makes sense. Exactly. Why trade Montez Sweat and then ship out Jaylon Johnson? You don't do that. You don't do that. Let's get Jaylon Johnson paid. Let's get this thing handled. Let's go. Let's go. I'm fired up, man. I'm fired up. Game time. You can go watch Jaylon Johnson, Montez Sweat, and the boys play at Soldier Field here in a couple weeks against not even a couple weeks, 9 days against the Carolina Panthers. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time, the best ticketing app out there. Buying your tickets to a sporting event, concert, comedy show, or anything else, it shouldn't be frustrating. It should be easy and painless. With Game Time, it now is. Download the Game Time app today. Their goal for you is to have a peace of mind with your purchase, help you save as much money as possible when buying your tickets. Whether you're going to a Bears game, an awesome concert, or any other event, Game Time wants you to have the best experience possible. By the way, looking for last-minute tickets? Maybe you wake up on a Sunday and decide, I want to go to Soldier Field today. Game Time's going to have the best deals for you. Best prices available. If you see a better price in the same section and row than Game Time, take a screenshot, send it to them. They will give you a 110% guarantee and get you the best price available. So download the Game Time app right now, create an account, and use code BEARSCHAT, to get $20 off after you create your account. That's going to get you that $20 off and start going to concerts, sporting events, comedy shows, whatever the case may be, whether you live in Chicago or elsewhere. Game Time. Go to the App Store, search Game Time. It'll be right there. Black background, white letter, big letter G there. It is the Game Time app. Get started today. Download the Game Time app. Use promo code BEARSCHAT for $20 off. All right. Chicago ain't for everybody. I'll trade Roley to the London Silly Nonnies. I don't even know that reference, to be honest.
Not either.
So All right. Schitchler says Bears traded Jaylon to the Niners for first per Rappaport. Probably a fake account, or you're just trying to get me. But they're not trading him. Jay Bills, I'd take a book of Burger King coupons for Valus. Yikes, because Burger King's not even a premier fast food joint. Tough look. Michael DiBartolo, it's another shot. If Harrison is the chat sports equivalent of Brian Urlacher, is Rolly Lance Briggs, or is he Hunter Hillenmeyer? This is your question of the day. He's my Lance Briggs. We go side by side. We knock heads off.
I am Devin Hester.
Sure, Rolly can be Devin Hester. Did you take that shot from earlier?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hopped on
Take mine
5
here.
or 10 minutes to do it.
Shout out Michael. No Palencia says, one more, name your top 3 Bears. 33 LFG. Current or all time?
Well, he's saying beers.
Oh, beers. If I'm going cheap beer, I'm a Coors guy. If I'm going like mid-tier, but not like, like some like high-end craft beer, I like Dos Equis. I like a lot of Mexican lagers in general. I think like Modelo is a good beer. I like Blue Moon. Big Blue Moon guy. I'm not a big dark beer guy. Just too heavy for me. So those would be a few. There's a couple like craft beers down here in Texas I like. I think Dallas Blonde is pretty good down here. And a couple others. So, yeah, I'm not like crazy beer aficionado. I'm pretty simple.
Rolly's top 3, very easy, very basic. 1, Miller Lite. 2, Michelob Ultra. 3, Coors Light.
So just all in the same tier. Like you would have a Miller Lite over a Dos Equis?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay. The Pike Dyke. Do you think Poles says Jaylon Johnson will sign a deal now? I don't know. I'm guessing the message will be similar of takes 2 to tango, make it work. But what this does is it gives each party time. It gives Ryan Poles time to continue to evaluate the situation. Gives Jaylon Johnson to maybe sit back and maybe he reconsiders lowering the price that he and his camp are looking for. But I'm glad they didn't just like, well, let's just trade him then. Like, I'm guessing they'll let Jaylon and his camp look for other options, and nothing materialized, at least to the level that the Bears were willing to let that happen to. So that's where it's at. Rufus, trade Cody Whitehair for Kirk Cousins' Achilles. Yeah, I would trade Cody Whitehair for just about anything. It's nothing against Cody, but he's over the hill, man. He's over the hill. Emiliano Brito. Chase Young makes more since Series 24 with more potential and it costs less. Rather have him on a rebuilding team. Johnson walks in free agency. Watch. I actually I don't think Jaylon Johnson would walk because I think the Bears would tag him if it came to that. If they let him walk, that's an absolute failure. There's no doubt about it. The Young point, yeah, look, he's younger, but he also has a major injury history. But he's also not a better all-around player. Sure, the upside of being more of a game-wrecking pass rusher is there, but it's been inconsistent, and he hasn't been on the field a ton. So I understand why the Bears did what they did. Now, if the breaking news tweet came out, Chase Young to the Bears for a third, I would have absolutely been excited for it. But that doesn't mean I'm not excited about Montez Sweat for a second. I think it's a good move. All right, guys, help us out. Hit that subscribe button. I know not all of you guys have subscribed to the channel, so hit that sub button. If we get to 78,100 subscribers, 13 more, I'll do a beer bong. 13 new subs, I'll do another beer bong. So if you guys want to make that happen, hit that sub button. Daily Bears coverage, the latest news, rumors, trade buzz for the next 20 minutes. And, of course, coverage for the rest of the season. 10 more subs, and I will do a beer bong for those who are interested. All right, Clark Bar Creations. Harrison, hear me out. The Bears probably traded for Montez Sweat because his salary is less than Young. Therefore, they have more money to pay JJ. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know who's going to cost more in free agency. Montez Sweat's not going to be cheap. I mean, they're going to have to pay up. There's no doubt. They are going to have to pay up. So we'll see how much Let's see how much it costs, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I expect them to extend him. Ah, yes, Tommy DeVito to the Giants' active roster. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. You got 15 minutes here. You want to rip a Q&A, which would get us to like the end of the deadline, and then we can decide what we want to do after that.
Like a real Q&A, or
Yeah, be something I could put out in the morning.
I mean, there's not a lot of questions, so.
Yeah, if you guys want to ask a question, you can either super chat or use hashtag Bears. Hashtag Bears or super chat. If we get enough of them, we'll do a Q&A segment. If not, we can just kind of chill and wait for the deadline to get here.
Did I show this?
Yes, you did. Hashtag Bears or super chat. That could be one you show in the mailbag, though, honestly. Ethan says, Dexter Lawrence to the Bears for a first. There's no chance. Not falling for it. So, the Packers got a third-round pick for Rasul Douglas, but they also sent a fifth to the Bills. So kind of a equivalent of a fourth. All right. David, that question, you can't have a space between hashtag and Bears. Hashtag Bears or super chat. A couple super chats that we'll get to in the mailbag here. DC Viper sends one in. A Real Shake sends one in. Any chance of signing a center from Radness? That's a good question. Elijah, hashtag Bears, Mike Nintendo. Load up those questions. We'll answer them leading up to the deadline, and then we'll kind of put a bow on everything. See where we're at here. Tommy DeVito to the Patriots for a second. How much of shambles would you be if that ticker came across your timeline?
I would no longer be a fan.
Oh, goodness. Harrison, how did you find this job? Honestly, I saw a job listing, I applied, and the rest is history. Got lucky. Also studied sports broadcasting in college. That certainly helped. All right, you think we got enough in here? Quite a bit here. Some soups. See, probably 10 or 12 hashtag Bears.
Yeah, we'll probably
mix in a couple. Just do prize picks, and then you can just do the live sub counter and like one or two weigh-ins. Make it work. When will Rolly and yourself make an appearance on the Bulls Report?
Don't think I've ever made an appearance.
Crossover stream?
I have never made.
Be kind of fun. Maybe after football season, pick a game. Be kind of fun. Round table game? You, me, and Seeps? You, me, and Seeps from the new Digs? Watch party?
I think I'll pass.
You don't want to watch the awesome Bulls?
I will pass on watching the Chicago Bulls.
Rolly. Don't the Bulls have a better record than the Heat?
I don't know. Do they?
I think they're 2-2.
There's no way they've played 4 games already.
I think they're 2-2. Aren't the Bulls 2-2? The Heat have played 4, haven't they?
I guess that's true. Yesterday's games don't count, though.
The Bulls are 2-2. The Heat are 1-3. Tough.
We don't try, though.
Just sneak in as the 8 seed and make a run.
It's true. I mean, Jimmy Butler does not try.
All right. Henry to Dallas. Derrick Henry? Not seeing anything. All right, let's get into this mailbag, and then trade deadline will be wrapped, and we'll give some final thoughts. Might talk about Jaylon Johnson staying as well, assuming that happens. Obviously, if there's a last-minute change and he does get traded, we will talk about that. Jaxo, we'll get your super chat on this mailbag as well. All right, let's dive into it here on Chicago Bears Now. It is mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. We're going to answer all of your questions here on today's show. So use hashtag Bears or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. If you Super Chat, you can get on first. If you use hashtag Bears, we'll get to those questions as well. From Jaxo, a $20 Super Chat, and then we'll get to a few more supers that came in. Do you think the Bears will make a wide receiver trade? Also, we need to win the next upcoming games against the Saints and the Lions. I think the Bears are chilling at receiver right now. Obviously, NFL trade deadline came and went on Tuesday. If you're watching this live, trade deadline's basically here, so it doesn't look like a wide receiver trade is in the works for Chicago. Bleacher Report threw out the idea of buying low on Terrace Marshall, but that does not appear to be the case. From Jason, appreciate the 5. If Sweat and Jaylon Johnson have both yet to sign a deal, who do you tag? I just don't see that scenario playing out. I think Montez Sweat gets an extension. You don't make that move without it. Hopefully Jaylon Johnson does as well. Obviously, he was seeking a trade. That did not go through. And I think that you would pay Sweat, hopefully pay Johnson, but if not, worst case scenario, you could put the tag on Jaylon Johnson. From Rufus, trade Velus for a McDonald's ice cream machine and get the same production. You'd actually, at least you get dessert with the ice cream machine. Yeah, it just has not looked good and worked out with Velus. Bad draft pick. It was an over pick at the time. They bet on his freaky speed and athleticism, and when you overdraft, you can get yourself into trouble, and I think that's definitely an example of that from Ryan Poles. Power 40, how do you feel about the Vikings trade and how it will affect the North? I don't know which one you're talking about, but if you're talking about Josh Dobbs, gives them some stability at quarterback with Kirk Cousins out for the year. I don't think they have a shot to win the division without Cousins, but they could still be in the mix to get that last wild card spot in the NFC. Right now, they are the 7th seed. The Vikings also shipped out Ezra Cleveland to the Jags. Obviously, Dalton Reisner's there now, and he's starting at guard, so I wasn't surprised to see that. But we'll see. I think Jaron Hall is going to start this week, but if he struggles, Josh Dobbs has played in a lot of offenses at this point and can at least play at a serviceable level. Sangray Kim, this means Jaylon is not worth what he thinks he's worth. He realized no one is willing to pay him what he wants. I can see the Bears re-signing him soon. Maybe. We don't know if, since a trade didn't happen, it doesn't mean that. It could mean the Bears didn't get an offer they wanted. There could be a lot of reasons why the trade didn't happen. Maybe the Bears just said, no, we're just not going to trade you. You're allowed to seek a trade, but doesn't mean we're going to do it. So that's a scenario. The two I mentioned are scenarios. I hope the deal gets done. I want him to stay in Chicago because if he does, you've got good players at all 3 levels of your defense all of a sudden. You got Montez Sweat on your defensive line, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, and Jack Sanborn to an extent at linebacker, Jaylon Johnson in the secondary. That's a good starting point. That's a good starting point. Do you trust Ryan Poles as the Bears general manager? Type T for trust or D for don't. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Pin comment on today's mailbag video. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, reply with the T for trust or D for don't. Infinite Productions, do you think the Bears extend Mooney? I don't think that would happen during the season. I think that's probably, they might let him hit the market, see what's out there, and if they're comfortable matching what another team does, they would. If not, they could let him go. He just hasn't been that productive, man. Like, I like Darnell. I think he's a good route runner and can get open, but I think in an ideal world, if he's back next year, he's your number 3. Like, DJ Moore's your 1. Maybe you draft Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors, Keon Coleman, someone else to be your number 2, and then Mooney can be that number 3 slot role. And in that role, if you get him back at a reasonable price, maybe like $10 million a year, I think that's a good role for him. DC Viper, for the draft, I'm taking Drake May and Marvin Harrison. Trade Fields for a high second and draft any of your top O linemen. Yeah, I mean, look, if you get a second for Fields, that would replenish the second you traded for Montez Sweat. Maybe you then get a lineman in that round or whatever the case may be. Maybe you go edge rusher in the second round. I don't think you'll go edge in round 1. I think the Montez Sweat was a clear signal of that. But yeah, Drake May, if you get the first or second pick, is definitely a possibility. And then Marvin Harrison, if you have another top 3 or 4 pick, he could be the pick as well. Mike Nintendo Master, did the Bears make a mistake on this trade? His contract expired this year. Was it worth it? They're clearly eyeing it with the eyes of an extension. You don't make this move without wanting to extend Montez Sweat. I expect that to happen, whether it's now or in the offseason. Worst case scenario, you franchise tag him for $20.5 million, which is the projected price tag for the franchise tag for edge rushers this year. So Montez Sweat's going to be here beyond this season. I can assure you of just that. Today's show sponsored by Prize Picks, guys. If you are trying to play daily fantasy sports, there's a lot of different websites, games, and apps out there, but Prize Picks is the best one out there for my money because it's just very simple. It's very easy. There's nothing complicated about it. You just make 2 to 6 player entries on any given entry, and if they will go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection. It's very simple. I've got a 3-player entry for this week in the NFL. I like DJ Moore less than his receiving yards. Him and Tyson Bagent haven't hit on any big plays yet, so I'm going to go less there. Cole Kmet more than the 30-something yards there. I think he gets 40+. And then Alvin Kamara, he's been a stud catching the ball out of the backfield, and the Bears just got torched by Austin Eckler, a similar back catching the football. So I think he's going to have a couple of nice plays. So give me the more there. 10 to win 50. If it's a 2-player entry, you win 3 times your money. 6-player entry, up to 25 times your money. Get started with Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100. Adam White, there seems to be inconsistencies with Poles' philosophy in acquiring talent. I don't know how to feel about the Sweat trade. Thoughts? There are inconsistencies. I agree with you. Now, I do feel good about the trade. He's a proven player for not just a year or two. Like Claypool, for example, really good rookie year, good-ish second year, but was declining. Wasn't playing good last year when they traded for him. That didn't work out. Montez Sweat, in all 5 years of his career, has been productive for Washington. He's having a great year this year. He's one of the best run-stopping edge rushers in the NFL. He's having his best year in terms of production with sacks, at least on pace so far. I like this move a lot. This is a stud player at a premium position, at a position you don't have much talent at, period. Coming off the edge, and Montez Sweat is going to help in that regard. So I actually like this move quite a bit. Hit that subscribe button. Bears Now is a family here. At least we like to think it is. That's how I treat you guys. Hopefully you guys feel the same. And help the family grow here on this channel. It's 100% free. We're posting news, rumors, videos. We've been doing a lot of trade videos leading up to the NFL trade deadline. We'll have more coverage throughout the season, more mock drafts. We'll probably do a post-trade deadline mock draft following the Montez Sweat trade. Lots to come. So sub for Bears videos, and we will continue to keep you covered. Let's continue to grow this channel. I greatly appreciate it. Hit a fresh. Do you think Tyler Scott has a chance to be our wide receiver 2 this season? This season, like the rest of the season? Probably not. I don't think he's ever really a guy you want as your number 2. Could he be your number 3? I think so. I view him as more of a home run hitter, like pinch hitter type, where I don't know if he's an every down guy, but he can take the top off. Like that Bayless Jones deep ball that was dropped by Bagent, that needs to be Tyler Scott, man. Like give him those opportunities. I didn't get that at all. I want to see Tyler Scott get more involved, but I'm not ready to say he's going to unseat Darnell Mooney or anything like that. Devin Macklin, now that we have Sweat and keeping Jaylon, which a grade A grading, where do we go from here? Hopefully you get an extension done for both. I mean, that'd be nice. I expect Sweat to get done between now and before free agency starts, hopefully sooner rather than later, so it's not something to worry about. Jaylon Johnson, I feel like that one could drag out. It doesn't sound like the two sides are super close, but now you have time to fix those fractures, whatever those may be, and I hope that happens because it's a premier player at an important position. So get those two guys locked up and then, keep building the trenches. You need a center this offseason. Maybe you go left tackle as well, depending on how they feel about Braxton Jones. I think you need another receiver next to DJ Moore, so still a lot of positions to fill, still some roster holes. You probably need a safety next to Jaquan Brisker, so lots of areas to go, but adding Sweat to the D-line is a big deal. Alexander Jackson, Harrison, I know you think the front office is already has a plan to ship out into the season, but what good does it do to send out Fields and fire the OC? Should you keep one or the other? I actually think if you're going to get rid of one, you should probably get rid of both, right? Like, I like Justin Fields. I think he has a lot of the traits you want in a franchise quarterback in terms of physical ability, leadership, being a face of a franchise, but the play has been inconsistent. That's the bottom line. And I don't think the coaching's been great. I don't think the pieces have been around him. But sometimes it's also one of those life isn't fair situations. Like, if he got to go to, pick one of 10 certain franchises, he probably would have been a lot better. And look, I don't think the door's necessarily completely shut. It's just a theory I have. I get the feeling that they've decided he's not their guy. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just a feeling I get. But I would reset both versus just one or the other. Like, if you're going to pick, I think I would pick Fields over Getsy for sure. I don't trust Getsy at all, but I think just resetting the coaching staff and quarterback is the most likely scenario. Alan Mack, our Ireland pal. What's up, Alan? With losing a second-round pick, we find it hard to draft Cedric Van Pran in your mocks. I've been getting them in the third a lot of times, Alan. Stay tuned. We'll be live on Thursday. We'll probably do a post-trade deadline mock draft, so stay tuned for that. But we'll see. We'll see if he's there when I pick in the third round. Maybe I'll get spicy. Maybe I'll trade Justin Fields in the mock for a second, and we'll try to go from there. Who knows? Lots of possibilities ahead. Appreciate all the questions here on our mailbag video. It is Chicago Bears Now. Subscribe for more coverage. We'll be back for more, including live on Thursday, and of course live on Sunday for more for another game as the Bears take on the Saints. Hopefully, the first game of Montez Sweat. Carlos, so we're right at the deadline. Ian Rappaport says no more trades. There's more from Josina Anderson when it comes to Jaylon Johnson. I'm going to read this real quick. Extra tidbits on Bears cornerback Jaylon Johnson. A trade to send the Bears corner is not getting done, and I'm told that Johnson does not plan to engage in contract extension talks for the rest of the season. Johnson intends to be a pro about the situation and planned for the possibility that he may not get traded. I'm also told that offers were made for Johnson, but that teams evidently felt the cost was too high. What do you make of that, Rolly? So Johnson, sounds like he's shelving any talks until the offseason. He's just going to play ball and see where it goes. Huh? The Sweat trade? So the Montez Sweat trade is now official. Do you have any strong opinions on Josina's Jaylon report?
I don't know, man. It's weird.
He's clearly frustrated. I mean,
yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Clearly frustrated. I hope it's one of those time can heal all wounds situations, but he's clearly frustrated. Oh, man. That's a cool tweet by the Bears. Montez of the Midway. We have traded for Montez Sweat pending a physical. Could you imagine if he failed the physical? We've talked about Chase Young's medical issues. Could you imagine how brutal that would be? You good over there?
No.
What's going on? Well, something was glitching during. Is live stream bugging out on you? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Did they switch on you? Did you just have to click it? Oh, boy. That's weird. Just got to reset. Yeah, you're good. All right, well, the trade deadline is coming past. Jets just signed Roger Saffold. I thought he retired.
Last chance for the...
Oh, yeah, let's do a final call for the Venmo race. Also, We'll do a little shot clock after that as well. If we get to 1,000, I'll do a beer boot. Otherwise, we're going to sign off. Last chance to enter the Venmo raffle. I'll give you guys 2 minutes. We do have another one in here. I already got him in. $10 to enter at HGramNFL. QR code, handle at HGramNFL. Winner gets half the pot. The pot right now, 7, 8. Pot right now is $45. If we get another entry, it would jump up to 50. So if one more person enters, the winner would win $50. So if you guys are interested, at HGramNFL, we'll do a Greyhound animated race, little raffle race, 50-50 raffle. Sounds like JJ will be a problem. Can't even start him. I mean, I expect him to go out there and play hard. I mean, whether the Bears are paying him or not, he's still playing for a contract. So he'll go out there and he'll play, but he's definitely frustrated.
Schultz said the Bills were aggressive in trying to trade for Jaylon Johnson.
Really?
Yeah. Chicago.
Yeah, that's why I said I think Rasul Douglas became their backup.
And
plan.
Chicago had offers, so there was multiple teams who sent an offer.
Yeah, Josina said there were offers, but yeah, we'll definitely have to break that down. Stephen Hunt has joined. Anybody else on Venmo? Otherwise, we're going to get this race going. Oh, here we go. We got Justin Sanchez. Justin Sanchez in there. Last call at HGramNFL if you want to enter. Oh, there's Alan. Is this Alan Sweet? It sure is. You can always count on Alan Sweet, Rolly, to enter this thing.
Yes, you can.
Alan Sweet. Bears have waived Khalid Kareem.
Dang, man. He was good.
He was better than freaking Dom Rob.
Shout out Terrell Lewis.
Oh, that's news. We can hit that in the cut as well once we do that.
Shout out Terrell Lewis.
Ah, yes. James Yoder has entered
Oh, yeah.
the race. So we're up to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the winner would get 65. We actually got one more in here. Tyler Kendrick. Anybody else? Winner would get 70 right now. Winner would get 70 right now. All right. I think we're good. I'm going to send this over to Rolly.
Send him over.
Just send him the list.
Send it in, Jerome.
Winner's going to get $70.
Da-da-da-da.
7, 8, 9. While Rolly's getting that together, we can flash our super chat menu. We're right at $200 away from 1,000. If we get to 1,000 in super chats.
What if I told you I was already ready?
Oh, Michael says I need last 4 of phone number. Why do you need just
If the picture looks like the little one you see.
You don't need the just if it's just that picture, it works. I don't want to throw my digits out there.
No digits.
I ain't trying to make that happen. Trust me, if it's me in a blue-collared shirt and I look about 5 years younger than I do now, it's me. If anybody wants to get in, that's me. There's Michael Ortman, so one more.
You don't need to send it.
I just did, but... Yep, we got it, Michael. We're good. Appreciate you. You're in there. We're always creating the race right now. Here's our super chat menu. First time super, I'll do 5 jumping jacks. $10, we're taking shots. $50, we'll do a beer bong race. Then $100, you can enter the Bears Now Helmet Hall of Fame with the sticker. Got Sealand with another sticker today. All right, let me refresh, make sure there's no new entries. All right, 15, is that correct? 15, winner's going to take home $75. Got the Greyhounds. These things fly.
These things hum.
So here we go.
They move, man.
You want to hop up? Up there?
I can.
Little dual cast.
I can.
Here we go. Count us down, Rolly.
3, 2, 1, go!
We are off.
We had a very close race. I've
Alan
never seen it be this
Sweet
close.
with the early lead. We got Steven Rios making a move down here.
I like
Cole
Louis
Zittner
Luna.
in the middle.
I
How
like
about
Louis Luna.
Stephen Hunt right in the middle making a move?
I like Louis
I kind
Luna.
of like our last entry, Michael Ortman, just floating on the inside there,
like
rolling,
Louis Luna.
making a move. Keenan Ryan just lurking at the bottom here. Nathaniel is making a push as well. 30 seconds to go. Tyler Kendrick with the lead.
I still like Louis Luna.
Louis Luna.
Well, technically in last place,
Here comes
but I don't
Keenan
think that
Ryan.
matters.
We got Ben Z, James Yoder. Oh, Yodes is
Here comes
falling back.
Louis. Here
Cole
comes
Zittner.
Louis up the middle.
Here comes
Here
Louis
comes
Luna.
Louis up the
10
seam.
seconds to go.
Here comes Louis up
Steven
the
Rios.
seam.
It's Louis
but James
Luna.
Yoder
Is it
making a
gonna
run.
be Louis Luna? It's
Oh my God,
James
it's gonna be
Yoder.
James Yoder.
Oh my goodness. James Yoder, our lucky winner. When's that tattoo coming, Yodes?
Oh, man.
James Yoder, the lucky winner.
Oh,
Dragon, I'll send you your 10 back. You were late. I'll send you your 10 back.
There's no way.
Oh my goodness. I'll send your 10 back. We already did the race.
I really thought Louis Luna was coming up from the inside, man.
Wow.
Right up the gut.
What a race.
Right up the gut.
What a race. Well,
That's
that's the way she goes.
the way she tumbles.
That is the way she goes. All right. Well, you guys want to play shot clock or y'all want to call it a show? How often are these races? We do them every game day.
Yeah.
Start doing them on live shows for fun. Every other live show. Keenan says rigged. Absolutely not rigged.
I wish we could rig these things.
The winner got 75.
Let it ride.
Oh!
75. Let it ride.
So what are we doing?
I'm just going to donate it back to the
Oh, so James Yoder says, run it back.
With
And-
Yoder in it or without it?
Hey,
show. Not running back to the same people. I beat them. Like, next one, add 75.
Oh, okay. So here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. James is going to put 75 of his own dollars, the money he just won, back into the pot, and we're going to do another race for anyone who wants to enter. So, Brett, I just gave you your money back. If you want to hop back in, $10, and we're doing another race. You do a 10-minute timer, give people 10 minutes to enter here. 10 minutes to enter. We're adding $75 to the pot. $75 to the pot. If anyone wants in, $75 going in the pot to start things out. Hell, if only one person enters, they're gonna win $75. We got Tyler in there.
Oh, no. Rolly fumble.
We got Luke in there. Oh man, Rolly it's a
There we
struggle.
go. We're back.
Tyler and Luke.
No, Justin, need to send in again. It's just that this one is basically double.
This race is juiced, basically.
Massively juiced.
We got Joe Keel in there. Mitchell Thompson. Oh, they're flying in, Rolly. 75 bones.
9 minutes and 30 seconds until we race.
Keenan
Juice
says
pot.
rematch, bear down. I love it, Keenan. I love it. Zane Gray.
Run it back.
Here we go. J. Bob is in there.
J. Bob.
I love it. Austin Nash, Louis Luna.
Louis Luna. You know, I really had good vibes on Louis Luna.
Louis
man.
came, was it second place?
No, ended
Or
up not finishing.
fall back?
But like that charge up the middle was electric. I thought it was going to happen.
All right, Brett. Our guy Dragon is back in. Here we go. Dude, they are flying in. They want this juiced race. Make sure I don't miss any here. Yeah, I almost did. Jay is asking if you do more than one entry. Just one entry. We want everybody to have an equal chance. Want everybody to have an equal chance.
Dragoon says they're in.
Oh, there's a lot of people in. There's a lot of people in here.
A lot of people.
A lot of people in.
Okay.
James Yoder does get to be in the race. He is in the race since he's donating 75 bones.
He goes 2 for 2. It's meant to be.
He's like Mr. Beast, Rolly. Whatever he makes on his last video, he just carries it over.
Would you like to take this money or double it and give it to the next person? Or whatever they do with those TikToks?
Yeah.
Would you like to
I'll take the money.
3 beers, or would you like to double it and pass it to the next person? Would you like 6 beers or double it and pass it to the next person? Would you like 12 beers or double it and pass it to the next person? That's kind of what this feels like right now.
Make sure.
It's kind of what it feels like.
Darling. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. Austin Nash, Cole, J. Bob, Zane, Stephen Hunt, Keenan, Mitchell Thompson, Joe Keel, Luke Sharp, Tyler Kendrick. All right, we're all caught up. Does anybody else want to get in? We don't have to go all the way down on the 10 minutes. If we're keeping it here, we can just go. You get my next one? Who are you, Radness? What's your name? I don't know what his name is in the...
Stephen Hunt.
Stephen, you are in there.
Was Radness.
Michael, you are in there. I'll just read off who all's in. Tyler Kendrick, Luke Sharp, Joe Keel, Mitchell Thompson, Stephen Hunt, Keenan Ryan, Zane Gray, Jay Bob, Cole Zentner, Austin Nash, Louis Luna, Mike Darling, Gret Gilliland, our guy Dragon, Ryan Woolworth, Michael Ortman, Nathaniel Dale, Joe Keel, Jake Schroba, Alan Sweet, and then Caden Luttrell are all in. They're all
Luttrell
in.
is speaking to me.
So, all right. Let's give it one more minute, Rolly. We'll go to the 5-minute mark. If no one else wants in, we'll let this bad boy fly. I'll go ahead and send you this list so you can get it started. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
This new race? The new race. This is a lot of people.
20 are in, so...
Should be 21 in
100
total, though.
Oh, yeah, Yoder, too.
I got Yoder written down.
You're already
don't worry
good?
about sending it to me.
Okay. So... It's 175 because part of his 10 is already in the 75. So the winner as of now would get $175. $175 to the winner. Ooh, we got a new entry.
You can just read them out loud, and I'll write it
That's
down.
kind of a tricky last name to spell. Brennan McElrath is in.
All right.
Paul Jackson says, I want in. Do you not have Venmo? If anyone still wants in, last call right now. People are still asking. At HGram NFL, QR code is right there.
Stephen Hunt.
If for some reason your Venmo came in after after the race started, we would just send that back, obviously. So, all right. Alan Sweet's message. 50-50 juiced. Oh, here's another one. We got Seth Hambrick. Seth, you in. Seth, you in. Oh, we got another one. Jersey's back for more. Oh, we got Robert Delgado. Eric Wass is in. Oh, my gosh. They're just flying in again all of a sudden. I thought you guys had tapped out. Just got 5 more. Jaden Rowley's in. All right, who else we got here? 1, 2, 3.
We good?
Does that get us to 27?
I'm at 28 after Yoder.
With Yoder, make sure that's right. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 at Caden. 1, 2, 23, 24, 25, 26. I only got 27 with Yoder. What's the disconnect here?
Don't know. Just taking what you sent me.
All right, let me read what I got you. Tyler Kendrick,
Yeah.
Luke Sharp,
Yeah.
Joe Keel,
Yeah.
Mitchell Thompson,
Yeah.
Stephen Hunt,
Yeah.
Keenan Ryan,
Yeah.
Zane Gray,
Yeah.
J. Bob,
Yeah.
Cole Zentner,
Yeah.
Austin Nash,
Yeah.
Louis Luna,
Yeah.
Mike Darling,
Yeah.
Brett Gilliland,
Yeah.
Ryan Woolworth,
Yeah.
Michael Ortman,
Yeah.
Nathaniel Dale,
Ooh. Nathaniel Dell, yes.
Joe Keel,
Well, now we're out of order. Joe Keel, okay.
Jake Schroba,
Yep.
Alan Sweet,
Yeah.
Caden Luttrell,
Yeah.
Brennan McElrath,
Yeah.
Seth Hambrick,
Yeah.
Jersey Eichhorst,
Yeah.
Robert Delgado,
Yeah.
Eric Wass,
Yeah.
Jaden Rowley. I just got another one.
Yeah. Did you say Ryan Woolworth?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know. I think you just miscounted them because you said every name and they're all on the list.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I just
I'm at 28.
you're at 28 with the new one I just sent in?
Yeah, but I think you're forgetting Yodes.
Oh, maybe that is what I'm doing. Okay. I think we're good.
Because if you just counted 27, I'm at 28 because you weren't.
Yeah, you're right. Because we're at 20 in the bullet points and then 7 more plus Yodes. For some reason, hang on here. Dennis is in.
Dennis Wheeler?
No.
No.
Dennis Schulthus? You in? So, quick math again. If that's 29,
Yep.
well, it's really 28 in terms of the math because Yoder's 10 is already included.
28.
So that's
times
140 plus 75. 215.
215.
Winner gets 215.
That's juice. Man.
You guys ready? Winner gets $215.
That is juice.
Take your sig other on a nice little dinner there.
Or yourself.
Here we go.
Are we ready to rumble?
The question is if Yodes wins again, does he double juice it?
I don't know. You might just have to walk away with your win there.
Need a high stakes 50-50. Do y'all want to do a high stakes 50-50 this Sunday on game day? Let me
We
just
tried to do a high stakes.
quick chat. I think we need at least 10 people to do it. Would y'all want to do a $50 buy-in on Sunday? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Y for yes, in for no, $50 buy-in on Sunday to increase the pot. And if we got 10 or more people, I'd throw 50 of my own dollars in there as well.
So I've seen 4 or 5 yeses, some no's.
Is 50 too
yes.
much?
I don't know.
If we got at least 10 people to do it, I would throw $50 of my own in the pot to juice it. My own hard-earned dollars. All right, we'll talk.
Seeing more yeses than no's. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, Loctara's in.
Hell yeah.
All right, maybe we'll let it fly Sunday.
All right. Are
We
ready?
3, 2,
2,
1.
1. Early pick. I really like Mike Darling.
I like Eric Wass. That's
I
my
like
pick.
Mike Darling.
Going Eric Wass this time.
I like Mikey
Joe
Darling.
Keel in the early lead.
Mikey
Brett
D, baby.
Brett
Mikey
Gilliland
D.
holding strong. We got Zane Gray making an early push, but
Early
is it
lead
too
for
early?
Zane.
Stephen Hunt down here. Luke Sharp kind of hanging out.
I like Darling, the 13. Lucky number 13
Not
on
going to lie, I
Halloween.
can't remember who I said I wanted to win, but they're not even on the screen. So
You know, Jake Schroba making a little push on that top screen.
here comes Yoder on the outside.
Oh, no. 20 seconds to go.
Way.
There's no
20
chance.
seconds. Eric Wass, he's back in the screen at least.
Here
Dennis
comes
Schultes up
10
top.
seconds to go. Here
Nathaniel
comes Jersey
Dale.
Eichhorst.
10 seconds.
Here comes Jersey Eichhorst.
Here we go. It's Eichhorst
Here
off the
comes
guts.
Jersey. 5 seconds to go.
4.
Here comes Brennan.
It's going to be Jersey.
Gonna be Jersey. Hold
it's
it
gonna
on.
be Jersey.
Oh, my darling came in seconds. Oh.
Jersey Eichhorst.
Congratulations
What a
to
rip.
Jersey.
Yo's just going to make a push for a second.
My darling Mike, I thought was going to get the job done. It was my early call. Second place for Mike, unfortunately. Dang.
All right, I got to find
Congrats to Jersey Eichhorst, the big-time winner.
215.
Dragoon saying, I faded like the Bears season. Oh, I'm dead.
Maybe we'll do high stakes on Sunday if you guys are interested in that sort of thing.
Listen, I saw a lot of people in, Harrison. I saw a lot of people in. That's all
Rigged
I'm gonna
again
say.
from Keenan. Keenan, it's like me on Powerball. If you stop trying, you'll never win.
Good point. Good point.
All right, I think that's a good way to end the show.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's a good way to end the show. Rolly and I I'm gonna film an episode after we sign off, so subscribe, be tapped in. Good stuff today on the trade deadline. I'll take a shot to go for 900 likes. Shout out to you.
Guys.
900 likes. By the way, poor Devontae Adams. I actually feel bad for him. They're horrible.
Yeah. I mean,
I know he tormented the Bears for years, but
other than the Commanders, man, not a lot of big trades, unfortunately.
yeah. All right. We'll see you guys soon. Bear down. Catch me on Chat Sports tonight. College football top 25 playoff rankings. We'll see what the crazy committee does this time. Danger signing us off. You know what, Danger? That $2 super chat got us to exactly $800. I'll tell you what. Just because, you guys are crazy sometimes, no one told me I would be at the pace setter. I'll give you guys a minute. If we get $200 in the next minute, that's a beer boot. So, $200, want to give you guys a chance. Sealand said y'all did a second race. We did, man. You should have stuck around.
Yeah.
Should have stuck around. Sealand, so on Sunday, people were asking about a high stakes race of a $50 buy-in. You in, Sealand? You in? 1 minute on the shot clock. We got to get to 1,000. I know it's a quick trigger, but there's a lot going on. I got to get ready for college football.
Yeah.
Still have to film another Bear. So.
Mike Darling, I appreciate you for joining the race. I tried to will you to
Dragon
victory.
says third race. How about this? We'll do a race Thursday.
Yeah.
I think we do another $10 one Thursday. We'll be live on Thursday, 4 o'clock, probably 4 o'clock Central Time. And then we'll do high stakes Sunday.
Matthew Sisk says 100 instead.
100 instead. Psycho says 200.
That is a
$500 race.
Well, Marco wasn't in for 50, so that seems like some.
A lot of talk in there. A lot of talk.
Marco was also leader of the Rolly Hate Club, so you're on my watch list, Marco. You're gonna get blacklisted.
Ah, yes. Let's work those Clayton Tune highlights into NFL Network's coverage here.
All right.
All right. Looks like no boot. Marco says I was not. Looks like no beer boot today.
He's a pot stirrer, that one.
All right, guys. Round of applause. Good stuff today. I enjoyed it. Appreciate Rolly for hanging out. What was it, about a 4-hour show?
Yeah, round up, 6 minutes.
Just about 4 hours, so appreciate that. Go check out Prize Picks. Go check out Game Time. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys soon.